this far. Don't stop now. Reaching for a distant star. Don't stop now. Isn't it strange how we're safe at home? So that I counting days until the second go. If you're gonna make a change, you have to let me know. Turn this shit around, start a double downs. It's all you need to do. Don't stop now. Reaching for a distant star. Don't stop now. Isn't it strange how we're safe at home? So that I counting days until the second go. If you're gonna make a change, you have to let me know. Turn this shit around, start a double downs. It's all you need to do. this far. Don't stop now. Reaching for a distant star. Don't stop now. Isn't it strange how we're safe and home? To the counting days until the second blow. If you're gonna make those changes, you have to let me know. Turn this shit around to start the top belongs. It's all you need to do. It's all you need to do.
What's going on, people? We are Tottenham TV. Welcome back to another Good Morning Tottenham as the Premier League is about to take a break for a couple of weeks. Today we've got an action-packed Good Morning Tottenham. We're going to go through a match review. Then we're going to go through the tweets, see how Twitter reacted to the Chelsea loss yesterday. And then we've got some headlines for you as well, doing the rounds on social media from sources such as Ali Gold and Fabrizio Romano. But Sim, how you doing this morning?
Yeah, it's not been a great day yesterday, was it? It was a really bad defeat, I felt, in terms of performance-wise, and in terms it was bad, but nothing out of the ordinary, was it?
Yeah.
Exactly as you expected. You go to Stamford Bridge, so I was a bit deflated by it, but you can't lose hope because I think, in terms of our league position, in terms of how we're generally going in the league, it's pretty positive, but always, when you come up against a team like Chelsea, the gulf in class is clear, isn't it? And that's the bridge Conte has to, that's the gap Conte has to bridge, isn't it?
Yeah, no pun intended there.
Exactly.
But look, let's get into the match review. And I think that when you're looking at the two teams out on the pitch yesterday, I mean, Spurs, I mean, we were clearly depleted yesterday. I think it was depleted instead of actual direction from Antonio Conte to leave Skip on the bench, Lucas on the bench, Reguilon on the bench. I mean, you know, I was coming into this game quite confident, thinking that we can nick something, maybe a draw or something like that. But as soon as you see the lineup, you know which way it's going to go, don't you?
I wasn't confident of getting anything. Even though Chelsea were on bad form, even though we had a last-minute winner with Bergwijn, I wasn't confident of getting anything in this game. I knew Chelsea were going to turn up, and it was going to be a case of maybe a bit of luck or riding out the storm if we were going to get anything from this game. And it looked like in the first half, you know, the way we set up, it was clearly to frustrate Chelsea, wasn't it? Two fullbacks on either side, Sessegnon, Davis, Tanganga and Doherty on each side. Then you got Sanchez and Dyer in the centre, backed up by Højbjerg and Winks. It's like, how much more defensive do you want to go? We barely had a sniff going forward. We had to pick our chances to kind of go on the attack every single time. It was kind of just Tottenham sitting deep, waiting for our moment, which came right at the end of the first half, which was, we'll get into it in a minute. But in terms of how we set up, that I think Conte just went, look, I don't think we can go toe-to-toe with these people, with this team. I don't think we're good enough with especially with the players available to try and out-football them. So we're going to have to try and frustrate them. We're going to have to try and go ultra-defensive, and that's what he tried to do. And For the first 45 minutes, it nearly paid off, but unfortunately, it got found out in the end.
Yeah, quality shone through in the end, didn't it? And
although one thing I would say, by the way, quickly is, especially in the first half, I thought there are actually a few opportunities where if it was Adama on the pitch instead of someone like Doherty, we could have got up the pitch a lot quicker and actually been a lot more dangerous. But because we had Doherty there, every time we got the ball to him, he either he didn't have confidence to take on a man, or he knows he can't take on a man. And he wasn't able to exploit the space, which someone like Adama or even an Emerson or someone else with a bit more pace maybe could have. And that was a big disappointment. But I think the tactic Conte had, if we had different profile player on the pitch, it could have worked a lot better.
Yeah, yesterday was just highlighted the fact of what we keep banging on about, the state of our squad. A few injuries and we're out on our legs, and that showed yesterday. But I thought we held our own in the first half. We were giving as good as we were getting in some ways, and that chance comes right at the end of the first half where I think it was Sessegnon plays a really nice ball into Harry Kane. Harry Kane turns Thiago Silva. Thiago Silva drops to the floor like he's been shot, and Harry Kane slots it in the bottom corner. I mean, I just don't understand why that goal was disallowed. I just don't get it.
It was an absolute disgrace, the decision. He barely touches Thiago Silva. It is not a foul in any way, shape or form. Thiago Silva's completely bought that. All ends up, he's completely bought that foul, and he's conned the referee, I think, pretty much. If any other player, all over the pitch, if that happens, people are calling him a diver. People are saying he's gone down easy. People are saying he's looking for it. But because Thiago Silva is the defender's done it, all of a sudden he's clever. He's
that's what
he's
I was
smart.
Say. Like, why when Harry Kane goes down a bit easily, when Harry Kane backs into defenders and stuff like that, everyone, the whole Premier League is together. Even the pundits going, "Oh, this guy's a disgrace. Why is he doing that?" Blah blah blah. Thiago Silva does that, goes down by someone literally blowing on him, and everyone's calling it clever. I just don't understand it.
I think that's just the narrative in these kind of situations when a striker tries to get a decision like that. They're not seen as clever, seen as cheating. But if you're a defender, it's smart, it's clever. I don't know why the narrative is different for each position. I'm quite confused, but that seems to be the situation. I did think he was clever, I agree, but why is Kane not clever if he does the same thing? That's why I don't understand. I think he literally gets lightly brushed by Harry Kane, goes over like a sack of potatoes, and the referee buys the foul. I think VAR should probably have overturned it, but they didn't see it as clear and obvious, which I kind of understand because there's a bit of contact, but wasn't enough for a foul. I think the referee was too whistle happy, and the most annoying thing is he gives a foul for that, and the free kick Chelsea got for their second goal wasn't even a foul. And he blew up for that one, and obviously they get the second goal from it. So there's a big frustration when it comes to that. But if that goal goes in, that plays right into our game plan, and not only does it give us more confidence and something to hold on to in the second half, also probably worries Chelsea a bit because they've been spending 45 minutes knocking on the door with no answer, and if they go into the second half 1-0 down, they probably need a rethink, and maybe they change things up, or maybe they maybe a little bit of panic or anxiety comes into their play. But because the goal gets ruled out, and then not only does the goal get ruled out, but a minute after half time they score, they go 1-0 up, and then all of a sudden the game plan's completely out the window.
It's classic, isn't it? Classic Stamford Bridge things happening yesterday. But as soon as the second half starts, like you said, they score the goal, and it was clear night and day between the two sides, wasn't it, in that second half?
Yeah.
And they laid siege upon our goal. They took domination of the game, and there was only one winner in that second half, to be honest, and they were the much better side. You've got to say that. Yeah,
I think actually when it was 2-0 down, but once we brought on Lucas and Skip, there was a period where we were rallying a bit and we started to put them under a bit of pressure. Kane
was done by then pretty much.
Kane had that corner, saved from the corner, and Bergwijn had a couple of opportunities which he didn't make the most of. And I think we started to get back in the game a bit after those two subs, which was even more frustrating because when the free kick was lined up, those two subs were ready and waiting to come on, and we couldn't hold out for them to come on. Once the second goal goes in, it is pretty much game over, because Chelsea, with how defensively solid they are and the quality they have, they're not giving up a 2-0 lead. It's going to be near on impossible to get 2 goals off this Chelsea team in quick succession like we did against Leicester. It's a different kettle of fish.
Yeah.
So it is pretty much game over. At 1-0, obviously the game was still open, and we were going to make the changes that could have gained us a bit more control, but at 2-0 it's going to be very, very tough. And I think Chelsea, once that first goal goes in, Waldy from Ziyech, you got to say, massive bit of quality.
It's a Waldy from Ziyech, but I thought that who was it on the right hand side? Was it Tanganga that completely lost?
Yeah, because he was on a yellow. He was on a yellow, and he got
lost Hudson-Odoi, didn't he?
Because he was booked. I think he was worried about it.
Yeah.
And that's what Conte was saying after the game. He said Tanganga getting yellow was significant for his performance, and I agree with that. I think, first of all, I think it was very harsh to give him a yellow when he did, but I think his performance definitely got worse after he was booked. So I think he lost a bit of aggression in his game that was maybe quietening, silencing Hudson-Odoi in the opening half an hour or so. But once he got booked, he became a bit hesitant. He didn't want to go full-blooded into a challenge. He knows one mistimed challenge and he's off. And he didn't want to make the same mistake he made, when he played Palace early in the season. So, but his performance was hurt by it. But it's different, because I remember, wasn't it against Man City? He was booked early on, and his performance was brilliant.
Yeah, he was brilliant.
So and this time it was a bit different.
Yeah, it was different games. I mean, the thing is, with that game against Man City, it was first game of the season. There's talks about him going on loan, and he puts on an amazing performance. Confidence was high. In this game, confidence is low. He's been putting in some poor performances in the last 3-4 games. So these things can happen. If you get booked early, I expect him to go into his shell, to be honest. But the referee did us no favours at all yesterday. Like we said, that chance in the first half, which should have been a goal, the Tanganga yellow card. I mean, time and time again, this ref was just shocking yesterday. And to be honest, this ref has been shocking all season. You look back at the Spurs-Liverpool game. I know it went in our favour, this decision, but Kane should have been sent off in that game. And I remember a few decisions in that game where the ref was just terrible. I mean, the quality of this referee really needs to be looked at. Do you not agree?
I mean, you can look at the past 2 games. I don't know about his overall record, but I could definitely say yesterday I didn't think he had a very good performance. I think definitely the free kick for the second goal wasn't a free kick. I think it was a clean challenge by Dyer, which went against us. I think the goal,
that one as well. Bloody hell!
I think the goal was a disgrace. I think he should have let it play out and then have it gone to VAR. I don't think VAR would have intervened, because I think it's a goal. But I think because he disallowed it, I don't think there was enough evidence from VAR to say there was no contact. I think if there's any contact, VAR has to go to the referee's decision, unfortunately.
There was also another moment in there as well. A lot of people that did the round on social media last night about Doherty should have been sent off with a...
Yeah, I haven't seen that again.
I haven't seen the video, but I've seen the stills, which is very hard to tell if it's a red card or not.
No, stills are never good to
exactly. That's why I can't really comment. I've only seen the stills, but from the still, it does look like it could have been a sending off, but it's very hard to tell in terms of, because video can just look a lot different. But in terms of individual displays yesterday, I thought our best players, the 3 standout performers yesterday, were Kane, Bergwijn and Eric Dyer. Eric Dyer coming straight back into the team, showing what he's all about. I thought he was the most competent defender on the pitch yesterday. Bergwijn looking like a man with confidence. He was getting the ball on the half turn, running at the defence, causing Chelsea problems. And Harry Kane was just doing Harry Kane things yesterday, wasn't he? I mean, the guy's playing at a top level at the moment, Harry Kane.
Yeah.
Those 3 players I thought were outstanding yesterday, but the rest of them left wanting a bit.
Not on his level. And I, as a few people have said, I felt bad for Harry Kane yesterday, because I felt whenever he got the ball, he was a touch of class, as usual. I think he was a level above the rest.
Were just so isolated up front. It was just them 2 taking it to Chelsea pretty much.
On the counter-attack, that was it. I don't know, obviously, I don't know whether it was a tactic or whether just Doherty wasn't able to keep up with them, and Sessegnon was obviously not... Actually, Sessegnon, to be fair to him, a couple of times provided a bit of a width.
There was that
one where he shot, which obviously went out for a throw or something.
Yeah.
That he got in behind then, and obviously for the goal.
The Kane, yeah.
So a couple of times Sessegnon was actually able to help, but Doherty was nowhere. Not that, you know, we're literally playing Doherty, not a right wing back. We're literally playing a right mid. But that was like definition of defensive winger. I don't think Doherty, either he couldn't get forward or he was instructed not to go forward. I'm not sure which one, but either way he wasn't getting forward. And it was literally, I would say, Kane, Bergwijn and Sessegnon against their whole defence. And it was more often than not just Bergwijn and Kane. And Bergwijn, I think, in the little scraps he got, he made the most of them. It was tough for him. I thought a few times he was giving Thiago Silva a bit of trouble, dribbling around him, also getting him behind, getting good breakaways. He got him booked, I think, didn't he, as well in the first half, which I think Silva could have been lucky to stay on the pitch, considering he made 2 fouls after being booked. So could have got off the pitch. Harry Kane, a few times on the breakaway as well, was being very, very dangerous. Chelsea were, you know, he's being a bit deep, looking for the run of Bergwijn, didn't quite find him a few times, and obviously did really well for the goal, good finish. But surrounded by players who are not on his level, unfortunately. You know, I thought Davis was a lot worse at left back than he is at left centre back. I think Sanchez did some good things against Lukaku, but also some really nervy things. I remember in the first half, there was one moment, there was no one around him, and he just boots it straight up in the air for no reason. Like, it was a ridiculous moment from him, that one.
So Sanchez got spun by Lukaku a few times.
And he also got spun as well by Lukaku, especially, I think, for there was a shot which he had off Lloris in the second half, and he completely spun Sanchez in that moment. Yeah. I thought Tanganga, after the yellow card, really badly struggled. I thought Doherty, you know, I didn't mind him too much in the first half because he was clearly told to just defend. But in the second half, I thought he was dog shit. I thought he was so bad, especially in that last half an hour where we actually had the ball a bit and we were getting forward quite a bit. Every time we gave it to Doherty, it broke down. Every single time we gave the ball to Doherty, he was giving it away. He couldn't get the shot off. And it was like I didn't even want him to support the attack because he was a waste of time.
Isn't that the rule pretty much for the most part since he's joined us? That's pretty much what's been happening with him.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it's just Doherty. It's just Doherty, but...
He was so... And I just felt bad for Kane, like, giving the ball to Doherty and it just being rubbish.
Yesterday, though, with the kind of knocks and stuff that we had going into this game.
Yeah.
I mean, we were fighting an uphill battle that the hierarchy have put us into because of producing this squad for us. I mean, it's just... It was a losing battle from the beginning yesterday with that team that we were playing.
That's why Conte tried his best to get a point out of the game, and it might have worked if you know, things went our way, but unfortunately they went against us.
So many bad decisions in the game yesterday from the referee. It was unbelievable, and pivotal moments as well. Pivotal moments, like we say, the goal for us, the free kick against us, a couple of red card decisions. Thiago could have got sent off. Yeah, fair enough. Doherty could have got sent off, but that might have helped us. But,
also the fact that, you know, we had two, not decision wise, but in terms of how the game went. Also the fact that literally as Chelsea were lining up that free kick, we have 2 subs on the bench ready to come on, and then we concede straight, you know, and what we can see that goal. And if we would have seen that free kick, the 2 subs come on, and who knows? Because I actually did think once those 2 subs came on, we did gain a bit of control back in the game.
How many times did we see that under Jose Mourinho?
So many times.
How many times where, you know, he's getting subs ready or he's just put subs on and bam, they score straight away.
Yeah, a number of times. So that was also a big source of frustration. But who scored? Silva, who could have been off. And also Silva was one who scored just after he conned the referee out of giving a foul against Kane. So that was that was also very, very frustrating. But you got to say, yeah, for sure, Chelsea were the better team. They have the better players. I think that was evident on the pitch. I mean, when you got Sessegnon and Doherty as your wingers to try and hurt Chelsea, what are you expecting? You know what I mean? What are you expecting? Oh, like, I don't think if Conte had all his players available, you know, that he does that. But that's just what he had to deal with. Yeah. And I think he did the best he could. And I think, again, Chelsea's quality shone through, and that was just the reality of the situation. I wouldn't, again, you could be angry at Conte for being ultra defensive, blah blah blah, but
I don't think you can, though. I
just don't think you can blame him.
You can't blame Conte for yesterday. It's the situation we were put in with the state of the squad. That's the honest truth about it. I mean, we're talking about players that are in our starting 11 in Skip, Lucas and Reguilon all would have started yesterday if they were match fit. They weren't match fit, and we know what happens. Conte has said it time and time again. If one or two players are out from our first 11, we're in trouble.
Exactly.
He said it before the start of the game yesterday. You know, we're in a state. What were the words he said? We're in a state of emergency.
Yeah.
Or something like that.
Something like that.
And you know what? For us being in a state of emergency, I was actually proud of us after that first half performance, but we just couldn't keep it up for 90 minutes.
No, unfortunately not. And it's not just we couldn't keep up for 90 minutes. They scored a worldie. You know, there's nothing you can do about that. And you can say, oh, you can get tied to or whatever, but when a player just pings it in from that range and that with that precision right into the side netting top corner, like no one can do anything about that when it's that kind of quality. That is just a special goal from a talent, which obviously you shouldn't give him that kind of space on the edge of the box with someone like Ziyech, but that's a special goal. So sometimes you just got to hold your hands up and say the quality. You know, we can't match that at the moment. That's just the reality of the situation, unfortunately. So I feel bad. I feel bad for Conte and Kane and our good players yesterday. Look, but as well, it wasn't our first 11. If we had our first 11 out, it could have been a different game. Unfortunately, we only had what we had on the pitch, and I didn't expect anything less. But it doesn't change for me. That result doesn't change my goals for the season or where I think we can head. I think I always knew after Wednesday. I said after Wednesday, look, if we lose on Sunday, then we lose. And I don't think it's going to be that detrimental to us because I still think we're in a very strong position in the league. And I haven't changed that opinion.
In terms of the league position, right, do you think that we got away with one this weekend just because Arsenal drew with Burnley and West Ham obviously dropped points? I know Man U, they played Man U, but, you know, with West Ham dropping points and Arsenal both dropping points on the same weekend that we played Chelsea, we did get away with one a bit this weekend, didn't we?
You could argue that, but that's the thing. Arsenal, though, I think probably had the worst weekend because drawing at home to Burnley, bottom of the league, Burnley, is a very, very detrimental result considering we got Chelsea out of the way now and they've still got Chelsea to play and a few others to play. So I think when you get that kind of result against a top three team like we did, you're expected to lose. But Arsenal, that's massive 2 points drop for them. Massive. Like we haven't played Burnley yet. So they've played Burnley twice and we are yet to play Burnley. So that's two big games. We've definitely got big potential for points to play coming later in the season. I think in terms of league position, I think the games in hand are crucial. I know they're not the easiest. Brighton away, Burnley away, and obviously the North London derby as well. But also, they're not games where you definitely say, oh, we can't win those. Like, we can definitely win them, especially having, you could argue Leicester away was one of the harder games in hand, and we got 3 points in that game. So definitely, I'm hopeful that if we can get some signings, hopefully we get some signings. We're going to have Romero. We're going to have Son back. If we have one or two signings as well, that'll be positive. So I'm hopeful going to second half of the season, we can definitely have a much better second half than we did first half, 100%. If we do, and also you got to remember as well, Kane is in fine form now, which he wasn't in the first half of the season.
Gonna be back.
Exactly. So there are reasons to be hopeful. We're not going to be playing Chelsea every week, you know?
Not only that, we got the best manager in the top four race as well.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. So we're not going to be playing Chelsea every week. So it's not. I know we've lost 3 times in a month, and it was pretty clear the gap in class between the sides in all those 3 games. But thankfully, we don't need to be better than Chelsea to get top 4. We need to be better than Arsenal, Man United, and West Ham, and I think we're capable of that.
Yeah, I agree, and I think that I think this break has come at a good time for us. I think it's come at a really good time for us. Give us 2 weeks now to get our players fully back. Conte can use it as a bit of a mini pre-season as well, which he didn't have obviously at the beginning of the season. Get Sonny fit and firing. Get Dyer and Romero.
Well, Reguilon's gone on holiday, I've seen, so I don't know about mini pre-season.
Well, maybe in the week, maybe they'll go away for a week and then they'll have a week of hard, intense training. But look, they need a break. They need to step away for a little bit. We need to get our squad fully fit, and hopefully Conte can bang in his ideas over the next couple of weeks to his players, and we'll come back strong for the second half of the season for it. We got 2 winnable games in the next 2 games in Southampton and Wolves at home. So if we can get back our fully fit squad, even without signings, and let's say just the Dharma truck comes in, I still think we can make top 4 just because we haven't had our full squad the whole season. Sonny is coming back, who's going to be a big game changer. The defence as well. If we can keep the defence to Davis, Dyer and Romero for the remainder of the season, that's a good back 3 to move forward for the rest of the season. So if we can stay injury-free, I think we can do it.
Well, I think Conte's shown, even with Dyer out and with Romero out, we were still able to have some solid displays in defence. We were still able to defend okay. So imagine having Dyer back in and Romero back in. It's going to make our defence a lot stronger. So that's a reason to be cheerful. I think yesterday's game, as much as people don't want to hear it, I think it's just one of those games you've got to, I know it's Chelsea away, Derby, it's a big game, but you just got to put it behind you. You just got to forget about it. It's one of those games where we're beaten by the better side. We're never expected to get anything out of yesterday, and we can be angry you like about how we set up and how we attempted to get a point, but unfortunately that's just where we're at the moment. So I think for me, put it behind us. We've got bigger, better, more winnable games coming up in the league, and I think for sure top 4 is well and truly on. I think we're definitely, for me, in the league position right now. Would I swap our points total on games played for anyone else's in the top 4 race? No, I wouldn't. So I would rather be in our position than anyone else's. So even with a defeat yesterday, I still think we're in a very good position.
Yeah. All right, well, that is our match review of the game yesterday. Let's move on and let's start looking at Twitter and seeing how Twitter reacted to the 2-0 defeat yesterday.
Yeah, so I've got some tweets or some reactions from yesterday's 2-0 defeat. Let's see what people are saying. The Spurs web have tweeted, Thiago Silva literally throws himself to the ground and it's considered using all his experience. But if Kane does that in the Chelsea box and gets a penalty, he's the biggest cheat going and a massive diver. Double standards and poor officiating. Yeah,
and that's exactly what we were talking about in the match review, wasn't it? Exactly the same thing. It's like, it's just every time if a Spurs player goes down and does this, apparently it's a big cheat. But apparently if it's against Spurs, it's for Chelsea, then he's very clever.
Yeah, exactly, and that's annoying that the narrative's played that way. But I think defenders, they get a lot more leeway when it comes to those cheap fouls, don't they? You see so often in their own half, a defender just gets touched, he goes down, and 9 times out of 10, the referee will blow up and give a free kick.
That ain't a foul anywhere else on the pitch, is it?
Oh yeah, definitely. I think it's even borderline if a referee gave a penalty for that, VAR might even overturn it. That's how soft it was. So look, it was such a slight touch.
Why didn't VAR go back look at that yesterday?
Because the
referee, is it because the referee blew before?
No, he didn't. That's not true. But
the ref didn't blow?
No, he didn't. The reason why is because if VAR can only overturn that if there's no contact between Kane and Silva. Because there's even the slightest bit of contact, that means the referee has accurately seen what has happened. And if he's adjudged that to be a foul, VAR can't get involved. They can only get involved if there's clear evidence of no contact between Silva and Kane. That's the only way they can get involved. The extra inch say yet another example of what I've been saying about the threshold for overturning terrible refereeing being wrong. Roy Keane saying there was enough of a push to justify a foul. I absolutely guarantee if it was a push by Silva on Kane, he'd be saying Kane went down easily, not calling for a penalty to be given. Apparently Roy Keane agreed the referee's decision yesterday on the panel.
That because Roy Keane is usually like this hard man that's being like that goes completely against this kind of stuff. It's a weird one that he's completely for it.
Yeah, first of all, that's strange.
That's strange in my opinion.
Secondly, what do you think of their point? Is the extra inches point saying another example of the threshold, about the threshold for overturning terrible refereeing decisions being wrong, because the threshold was the referee has to accurately describe what he's seen. Is that right? What should the threshold be for overturning a decision? It's difficult to know, isn't it? But
I mean, you're playing a dangerous game here, but I don't know what the threshold should be because it's all so hard to tell, isn't it? Because everything happens in a split decision. You don't know what the referee's actually seen and what he's claimed to have seen. I don't know. The threshold can be... I just don't know, to be honest. I genuinely don't know. It's a hard one. It's a very hard one.
Should the VAR get involved?
In my opinion, yes. But...
So then again, you saw the Jota one. The Jota
one was a disgrace.
And the VAR got involved in that.
I know they did. Every week we're seeing different decisions, no consistency in the Premier League in terms of this kind of stuff.
How many times do you reckon that Jota foul has happened? The referee hasn't given a penalty and VAR hasn't got involved yet. Yesterday, they do get involved, and I think similar thing with. I mean, VAR obviously the VAR didn't get involved in this one.
The whole thing with VAR and the referees and the consistency, it just all confuses me so much. I just don't get it all. Some weeks it's yes, some weeks it's no, and like, come on, man, just have some bit of consistency about you.
Has VAR made a poor refereeing decision? He says, "What on earth have I just witnessed?" And there's the foul. Oh, sorry, by Harry Kane. I just can't believe that it's that it was given. James Moore says, "If a defender does that and a penalty is given, everyone is losing their shit." That is absolutely true.
Sorry, what was that?
If a defender does that and a penalty is given, everyone's going to lose their shit.
That's what we keep saying.
Yeah, absolutely right. Lily White Rose says, 4th defeat of the season to Chelsea with an aggregate of 8-0. But let's not get too down on this. We never get anything in the bridge, and we did get a big 3 points on the board away to Leicester midweek. Table still looks good considering our games played to others.
This is not the time to panic in terms of our league position. This is the time to panic in terms of bringing in signings and the rumours of who we're going to get out and stuff like that. But that's a conversation for another hour.
Yeah, but look, 2 points behind with 2 games in hand on 4th. We're obviously a point behind West Ham with 3 games in hand, and we're obviously level on points with Arsenal with 1 game in hand. So, even though we lost to Chelsea yesterday, we have 4 games in hand, and then we can go above them. Yeah, amazingly. I don't know how. I don't know who the 4th game in hand is, because obviously you got Brighton, Burnley, and Arsenal. No, to Chelsea. Who's the 4th game in hand then? I don't understand.
Our game in hand, you mean?
To Chelsea, because we got Burnley. We got Burnley, Arsenal, and Brighton. I don't know what the 4th one would be. It says we've got 4 games in hand on Chelsea.
No idea.
I don't know.
That's a strange one.
Maybe it's when they play the Club World Cup or something. I don't know.
Oh, they're playing their game against Arsenal next week, or in 2 weeks, got postponed, didn't it?
I don't know. Is it all because of the Club World Cup?
I don't know if it's the Club World Cup or Carabao Cup final or something, but it's been postponed. I know that for sure. I just don't know why it's been postponed.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what our 4th game would be. If anyone knows, let us know in the comment section. I know they played an extra game, but I don't know.
In FPL, in the next FPL week, Chelsea don't have a game week.
Right.
And we play Southampton.
That would be the Club World Cup then.
Must be.
Yeah, it's not going to be it's not going to be the Carabao yet. If that's in February, then, yeah. That's in the end of February.
Chelsea against Arsenal got postponed, and maybe another game as well.
Chelsea never got a game postponed. They played their game against Brighton early, so they moved their game forward. They're saying against the second Brighton game they played was moved forward because they I think because of the Club World Cup. So that's why. Okay. The new signing Chelsea have is unreal. Hadn't heard of him before today. You heard of this guy?
No.
New Chelsea signing.
Is he?
Yeah.
Oh, the ref.
Come on. Tierney.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was definitely on Chelsea's. That was from
everyone
Mark.
was talking about how much of a prick Tierney is yesterday. I thought they were talking about Kieran Tierney.
Yeah, I know. It was also true. But can't tell which one. But yeah, look, I thought he was terrible yesterday.
He's terrible. Every time I've seen him ref this season, something's gone wrong in the game.
Yeah, definitely. Then who's this from? Matt Law. Antonio Conte always says his players have to suffer, but now it's Tottenham chairman Daniel Levy's turn to take some pain with the Italian desperate for ins and outs. That is what Matt Law's. That was his assessment after the game yesterday, and that couldn't be more true, could it?
Oh man, just bring us in some signings, man. We're now what?
I want to see Levy. I want to see Levy crying while writing a check. That's
7 days from now until the end of the window, and we still haven't brought anyone in. And like, it's making me look like a real idiot when I called for calm 7 days into the window. When I still stand by it, 7 days in the window, you should have calm. But right now, I'm starting to panic.
Definitely. Squawker Football said Antonio Conte's first 10 Premier League games in charge of Chelsea, 7 wins, 1 draw, 2 defeats, 22 points won. Antonio Conte's first 10 games at Spurs, 6 wins, 3 draws, 1 defeat, 21 points won. Very similar stats. So we're going to win in the league this season.
Of course
then
we are, mate. if it wasn't for Man City, we could have.
Yeah, I don't know about that. Let's see. Then there was Tactical Time said that was spectacularly forgettable game of football. I'm not sure Spurs have any positives to take from it. Slow and cautious and generally miserable. May have been a different story if Kane goal stands. Probably just cements their defensive approach. Not much fun. The Tactical Times weren't enjoying the game yesterday.
But why is no one talking about literally that's the situation we were put in because of injuries and because of not investing in the squad? That's literally, I don't put that down to the players on the pitch. I don't put it down to the manager. I put it purely down to us not investing in our squad the way we should have done, and injuries.
Exactly, and that's the reality of our squad.
You can't blame the players that aren't good enough. They're not.
No,
good enough.
I'm not blaming Doherty for not being good enough. I'm blaming the board for us having Doherty in the
exactly.
pitch. Live video evidence of Conte turning Tottenham around from Lee Brown. Just about. Go on. Is he gonna do it? No, that would be scary. I wouldn't want to be in that car. Yeah, Conte's the driver.
Oh, if Conte's the driver, it's all good.
No, he did it at the end. Exactly, he got there in the end. Kane from the lane says Kane's push versus Silva's two-handed shove on Davis for their goal. Apparently, so there's Kane's push. If can you zoom in? He's got one hand on Silva.
Kane's push, yeah, if you want to call it a push.
And then here is apparently there's evidence of Thiago. I can't really see it. Thiago Silva having two hands on Ben Davis.
Manhandling, mate. Manhandling.
That was for the goal which he scored. So he shoves Ben Davis and gets a goal, and yet no punishment. That is frustration for Kane from the lane. BR Football says Chelsea beat Tottenham for the 4th time this season. Yeah. Dearie me. That's not great.
Time in the space of a month.
And let's talk about, I guess, and that's obviously Giovanni Lo Celso. That was his Instagram post just before the game when he was being left out. Said, regarding the questions I received, I would like to clear out that I am 100% in good physical condition. I have no problem. I feel very well. I wish the best to my team in the derby. And he posted a picture of him with the rest of the Tottenham squad.
And also, Conte made some interesting comments about it after the game as well. He was talking about, you got asked the club about this decision. I mean, do you think that? What did you read anything into what Conte was saying?
Clearly, from what we're hearing today, 100%. I think that's clear now that he's being left out because either a transfer is close or they're in discussions about one.
Do you think that that Conte wants him gone? Do you think he wanted to use him yesterday?
I think Conte's been very complimentary of Lo Celso previously, saying he's a very good player, we need to use him and all that kind of stuff. I think since he's been from injury, I think he has used him. I think he started the first leg against Chelsea, didn't he? Regarding whether we thought he played well or not, he started the game against Chelsea in the first leg of the Carabao. I think he came on with half an hour to go in the second leg, I think. No, did he start the second leg? No, I think he started the second leg as well. I think he started the second leg as well in the Carabao.
Right, actually,
I think he was the first player to come on Wednesday night when we played Leicester when we needed a goal. He was the first player to come on. So I think since coming back from injury, he's been using him a lot, and I think he's a player he does like. And the thing is,
he has been poor each and every time, pretty much under Conte.
He has been poor, but I think he is a player he does like. And I think he is a player that he has shown that he's used. Also, I don't think we've played him in his best position yet at Tottenham. I think if we played a 3-5-2 with him in the central mid positions in a 3, that would be his best position. We yet to see him there. We keep him
for Argentina.
Exactly. We keep putting him on the wing, on the right hand side, in those where I don't think he's as effective, and I think he's shown that. So,
I've got some interesting points on Lo Celso, so we'll go in deeper into Lo Celso in a bit. But let's carry on with what's going on Twitter.
Another thing for the extra interest, definitely no need to be a doomer about our season's hopes after today, which is yesterday. He said we had Son, Romero, Skip, Reguilon, Emerson and Lucas all either injured or unable to start. That's over half of Conte's first choice 11. And that's a point you were making before.
Exactly spot on. I mean, we can't get too downhearted when you're going and playing the European champions. Yes, they might be Chelsea and one of our rivals, but ultimately they are the European champions, right? If you're going to go there with a depleted squad, when Conte's already said that if one or two players from our starting 11 gets injured, we're in trouble. And not only did he say that, does he say that earlier on in the season, but he also says before this game we're in a state of emergency. So I actually think we did all right whilst being in a state of emergency yesterday.
And as we've said before, for Chelsea and City and to an extent Liverpool, and they have how many players? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. If they've got 6 of their starting 11 out, it's not as big of an issue for them as it is for us. Because if they don't, they have good players coming. And if we don't, we have Doherty and Sessegnon's our wingers. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
And that's the difference. And James Dickens says, Antonio Conte spends so much time trying to make a point about needing transfer funds, he forgets that Chelsea drew with Brighton, Wolves and Everton in their last 7 games. He'll say afterwards the Spurs don't have the squad to compete in a one-off game. That's not true in my opinion. The game is about glory, playing Matt Doherty at right wing. And then he posts this picture with Dele, Lo Celso and Ndombele, and there's content. And then he says we have no midfielders.
Want Dele and Ndombele or Lo Celso at right wing?
No, all starting in this kind of game. Except for maybe, I reckon we could have played Lo Celso maybe in a 5-3-2, but I don't think. Yeah, Dele and Ndombele, they're on their way out. Like we're trying to get rid of them actively.
And from what we're hearing, Lo Celso could be on his way out as well.
Yeah.
So.
But James goes on to say, Spurs will be fine. Conte is brilliant and will make it work. However, as a wise man once said, this rebuild will be painful.
Exactly.
That's 100% right. And then there's Elias with the same image. All right, and that's it from our Twitter reacts. And that's all we got to say on that for now.
All right, so that is our Twitter reaction for the 2-0 loss at Stamford Bridge yesterday. Let's get into some of the headlines, and let's start off with Ali Gold yesterday, or this morning actually. He's been talking about 7 days to go in the window and what we can expect. I'll just read out the headlines and then we can have a bit of a reaction to it. So Ali Gold says that the hope within Tottenham is to try and make 3 signings before the window closes: a right wing back, a central midfielder, and if possible a striker. A planned move for another left-sided centre-back has currently been pushed to the summer, but could be resurrected this month if more than one centre-back departs, with Japhet Tanganga and Joe Rodon both linked to moves. Whether the potential exits of all 3 of the club's attacking central midfielders, Dele, Lo Celso and Ndombele, brings another creative player remains to be seen. Let's start. That
was the most worrying thing from me. But let's start at the top. Yeah, go on.
I was going to say, let's start off with the top, saying we're hoping to sign 3 players, which they're saying a right wing back and a central midfielder for sure, and then possibly a striker.
So no striker basically. So
no striker.
And also that also means possibly a right winger and possibly a centre midfielder.
Well, I think we can see Adama.
Yeah, I think Adama's Adama looks nailed on. Centre mid,
even though he's still playing for Wolves.
Yeah, he is. But for me, I don't know if you saw the reaction. I don't know.
It, yeah.
It looked like that was a goodbye. I don't know, to me. It did very much look like a goodbye to me. Everyone came and was hugging him and around. I know goal celebrations can be like that, but for me, that definitely had a thing about it.
It was also like late in the game and a winning goal to put the game beyond doubt. I mean, it can be read a few different ways.
It was, but I think there looked more to it to me.
Yeah,
there looked more.
I'm just not sure.
It looked more to it to me.
I'm just not sure. It could be. You could be right, but I mean, when I saw it at the time, I didn't. That's not the first. I mean, obviously, it came to my mind because when you're looking, you're thinking Adama, Spurs. Yeah, let's look at every single fine detail. But you could also account it like the way I said it as well. It was, Brentford were slightly getting back into the game. They got a goal back. Then Wolves got another goal. And then they got a goal to seal off the game, which obviously it was disallowed. But that's why I think everyone went over. But I could be wrong.
I don't know. Adama's a reaction when he was like, I don't know. He just seemed like he was saying goodbye. Look, you have to look for yourself. But anyway, what was the point? So he's going to come in. I think he will at this point. We'll talk about Fabrizio Romano later. But anyway. Centre mid, that update that they give on the centre mid saying
the centre back, is the next one.
Centre back is going to be pushed to the summer.
Centre back pushed to summer, but unless we sell Joe Rodon and Tanganga,
and I think
both of them.
So I wouldn't do that. I mean, if it meant getting one in. And look, it's 24th of Jan. We can't be thinking about ifs and buts at this point. It has to be, we have to know what we want now. We can't be relying on this and relying on that. There's not enough time, unfortunately. There just isn't enough time to get all this business done. I think yet again, we've left it too late. We've left it much too late to get all the business done. We should have had some business done by now. That's the truth, to be honest. 24, I think 1 week in and no business done is like, okay, let's see what happens. But 24 days in and still nothing, like no ins, no outs. Like, I think that's criminal. It's going to be nearly criminal.
Agreed. I definitely thought we would have 1 or 2 in by now.
Definitely. We should have. Why is this Adama thing taken to the lot? It doesn't make any sense. Anyway.
The guy that they bought to replace Adama was on the bench with Adama yesterday.
Yeah, literally. Of course he was, because they're trying to... Because Levy's not paying up. Anyway. Then the last
one,
thing...
Yeah, this one is the one that's going to hit home the most, where it says... we're looking to get rid of Dele, Lo Celso and Ndombele, but we're not looking to bring in another creative player, apparently, or remains to be seen, which is stressful at the least.
Look, if we were to bring in a centre mid, let's say, of not saying this specific player, but like we need someone like a Jorginho or a Neves or someone who can, we're a very good passer of the ball in the middle. Then that's okay, but we don't want to be bringing in like another, just like Højbjerg, basically.
Another holding player.
Yeah, exactly. Someone who's like not that great at, he's like okay at passing, but his main attributes are getting around and making tackles and being aggressive, which obviously there's weights at, but we need passing ability in this team. That is the number one thing. And one thing, yes, Dele. Okay, I don't think Dele potentially has that, but I think Lo Celso and Ndombele definitely do have that. And if we are selling them, which is fair enough, at this point, I don't begrudge Tottenham for wanting to sell them, and I don't begrudge whatever if Conte thinks then he doesn't want them part of the plans. Fair enough. But we can't get rid of them and then not have anyone. That is unacceptable. Then all of a sudden, we're not having any passing ability. And everyone keeps bemoaning about creativity issues in this team. We lack creativity. Well, the solution to that is not getting rid of our creative players and not replacing them and just having no one. That is not the solution to that. And if we're not going to bring in a creative midfielder or a technically good passing midfielder, which someone told me or said on Twitter, then we need to keep one of them. I'm sorry, we have to, because we have to at least... Because everyone says, I tweeted out when I saw something saying, not getting rid of Dele. Or did I say? I can't remember what I said now. I said getting rid of Dele and Ndombele and Lo Celso without getting. It says we can get rid of all our creative midfielders and it's not a foregone conclusion that we'll bring one in. I'm getting worried. And people were saying, well, what have they done? You know, oh, they're not creative. They don't create anything. Yeah, but a few weeks ago, Winks was a dud. A few weeks ago, Davis was a dud. A few weeks ago, Dyer was a dud. No one wanted him. Things change. And I'm not saying Ndombele and Lo Celso are going to change overnight. But especially in Lo Celso's case, if he was given a run, I think things could change for him. I think he could become part of the team. So things can change very quickly. So to get rid of them, and just so you can get rid of the deadwood and then not replace them, that creates any sort of possibility that they could turn it around and we could add some creativity in this team, and then that issue is not going to go away without any of that possibility. So I'm worried that we are going to get rid of them. We're not going to replace them, and we're not going to have that passing ability that this team needs.
So the fact of the matter is we're low on numbers as it is. That's the facts of the matter. The facts of the matter is we got rid of Bale and Vinicius from last season, which left us low in the attacking options. And if we get rid of Dele, Ndombele and Lo Celso, yes, I know Dele and Ndombele have hardly played, but Lo Celso is starting to work his way into the team, and he's seen quite a few minutes in the past couple of weeks since he's been back from injury. We're leaving ourselves even lower on numbers than we were before. And if Lo Celso's been playing minutes, why has he been playing minutes? Because he's needed. Because of the numbers. I mean, it's absolutely mind-boggling to me how they're thinking of getting rid of 3 midfielders and not bring one in. I mean, obviously they are thinking of bringing one in, but not a creative one. It's crazy.
There's some bloody Amrabat or whatever his name is. Like
and he's another holding midfielder.
Exactly. We need passing ability. That's what we need. players who can put it on a sixpence for our attackers, and that is very, very crucial. We need people who can unlock defenses. As much as the system will create chances, sometimes, like, the system can create sometimes the system creates openings and creates opportunities, but you need the players, the quality there, to make sure that they make the final pass. And as much as, like we saw it against Watford and against Southampton, like, we create very good openings, then that final pass, that little bit of quality, is missing time and time again. And we need a player who you can trust in the final third to make that pass. And as much as Ndombele and Lo Celso haven't done it yet, we know they do have that quality. So there's always a possibility that if given game time or there is a possibility that they could provide that for the team. Without them and no one else coming in, that possibility's gone, and that's what I'm worried about.
Right,
and it's just an quick update here from Dan Kilpatrick. Apparently, he says Tottenham are desperate to offload Ndombele, Lo Celso and Dele Alli to free up space for new signings.
Well,
that's what he said. Well, look, 7 days. Like, this should be done already then, and that's the reality. So
this club never.
And a striker
never stops amazing me, man.
Who are we going to get? As I said, we might go for a striker. Which striker are we getting a week before the window closes, right? Who is good enough to improve our attacking options, right? But is not so important to whoever we're buying them off that they would be willing to sell them mid-season, and they would have time. Who?
I know who it is. We're signing a 3-in-1 package in Adama Traore.
Oh, yeah, of course. He can play up front. I forgot about that.
Front. He can play right wing back. He can play right wing. He can play through the middle.
Play on the
We're
left.
Signing 4 players in one, basically,
Yeah, of
with
course.
Adama Traore.
It's Levy's wet dream.
Exactly.
You can play everywhere.
Exactly.
That's the thing. Like, from a striker, like, you can't get a striker right now because the team who are buying this whoever this striker is are going to want to replace them with a week, because no one's going to sell their first choice striker to us with a week left in the window without time to replace them, unless we're paying well over the odds. So who is this mythical striker? I don't believe for a second we're getting a striker in this window. Not for a second.
And if possible, a striker.
Yeah, and
it's not possible.
Exactly. If possible, exactly. That's why they already know it's not possible. That's why they say if possible. So I think you can pretty much already strike off a striker. I think there's no chance we're getting a striker this window.
Look, 7 days to go to the end of the window. That's what Ali Gold is saying. But let's move on more in depth into Tanguy Ndombele, as Romano has been speaking about the Ndombele situation over the past 24 hours. Last night, he says Tottenham and PSG are still in talks for Ndombele loan move. Pochettino had some quotes about it. It says, and he said, "I'm not talking about Ndombele because he's not in our club. PSG are open to progress, to improve. I think everyone's open with 1 week left," he added. And then I think this morning, Romano said that Tottenham are considering options to replace Ndombele if he leaves and joins PSG on loan. Fiorentina midfielder Sofiane Amrabat is one of the players on the list. Nothing decided or agreed yet. Many candidates. Spurs will decide this week. And if we sell Ndombele or loan him out and bringing in this character, I'll be so annoyed, man.
And he also said
so annoyed.
He also said no talks currently with Wijnaldum.
No talks with Wijnaldum included in the loan deal.
So,
and that's what I said last week. I said, if we're going to be loaning out Ndombele to PSG, let's try get Wijnaldum in replacement, because that would be an absolutely brilliant deal if we could do that. It really would.
I think he's a brilliant player, Wijnaldum. I think
brings
technically
experience, brings technical ability, brings goals to the team,
and he's a hard worker.
And he's a very hard worker.
And he can play in a few different positions.
Pochettino, though.
Why is he not working under Pochettino?
Pochettino chased him when he was at Spurs. Finally got his man under PSG. What's going on with him?
Yeah, I mean, I can't say. I don't know why he's not working, but I don't know. I can't give the reason, but I definitely like him at Tottenham. I definitely think he can play a big role in if Conte was to bring him in. I know he's 31, but he's one of those midfielders I think like he can play for another 2-3 years.
But even if 31, but we're not. I don't think we're talking about him in a long-term deal. I mean, get him in for a year, or get him in on a 6-month loan deal to the end of the season to help us out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
No one's talking about it as a long-term project. Wijnaldum.
Definitely. So I definitely would look to bring him in. And Ndombele, look, as soon as this happens, the better for everyone and for the squad and freeing up money for transfers and all that kind of stuff. So let's just hope that happens as quickly as possible, because if that happens, then then that's a big one to allow transfers to come in, which we need. And we need players that Conte can rely on. So, but if we're replacing Ndombele with this Amrabat fella, who can't get a game for Fiorentina this season, who seems to be another defensive player as well, it doesn't seem like it's a good switch to me.
No, not at all. And you're talking about Paratici, who's got very
it stinks
close
of
eyes on Serie A.
it stinks of Stambouli. It's one of these signings. It just stinks of a player.
Classic Spurs January signing.
He's a cheap player who's going to be like Jedson Fernandez. He's going to be gone. He'll be gone in 6 months or a year. He'll be gone. Like, I don't think he's going to last.
Yeah, agreed.
So why bother with this whole thing? Just get some quality in there.
Yeah,
that's the most annoying thing. So we'll see what happens. But I hope Pochettino can do us a favour and get Ndombele through the door
and give us
PSG.
Wijnaldum as well.
Yeah. I hope there's some legs to the Wijnaldum stuff, but I'll have to wait and see, because at the moment it doesn't seem so. But I hope if we can get him in, that'll be brilliant.
Right, let's move on. Let's go back onto Giovanni Lo Celso, because there have been a couple of updates on him. First one from Ali Gold saying Sevilla are keen to bring in Giovanni Lo Celso and bring him back to La Liga before the end of the month. Miguel Delaney saying Conte has grown weary of Giovanni Lo Celso's efforts. He's good, but he just doesn't follow instructions to the level required. And David Ornstein says Tottenham have been exploring a swap deal for Giovanni Lo Celso this month. So 3 reliable sources all talking about Lo Celso leaving.
And Dan Kilpatrick obviously just saying as well, as we just spoke about that.
Yeah.
They're saying that Lo Celso is one of 3 players we're desperate to offload.
Yeah, exactly. So all four reliable sources talking about it. But what's interesting is the Miguel Delaney one saying that that Conte thinks he's good, but he just doesn't follow the instructions to the level required.
Yeah, that seems an odd one for someone like Lo Celso, for a player like for Lo Celso's quality to not be able to do that, because Lo Celso, especially I remember under Mourinho, especially pre-lockdown under Mourinho, was a player who not only had good quality, good dribbling ability, and all that kind of stuff, but was very much putting a foot in, very much willing to make tackles and put in the hard yards for the team. So the fact,
since then though,
it has, but the fact that he's saying that he's grown weary of his ability to follow instructions, that does surprise me a bit. But look, as I've said before, Lo Celso is one of the players that since he came back from injury, Conte's been looking to use him, and he's talked him up as well, in quotes, hasn't he? Conte. He said Giovanni Lo Celso is a very good player and we need him. And so I do wonder how much of this is coming from Conte and how much of this is coming from the club, in terms of we're looking to build funds and build up space for new signings, and it's kind of, we're just kind of going for who we're getting offers for rather than players we desperately actually want to get rid of. For example, Bergwijn, he was about to leave. And now
Conte kept talking him up.
Exactly. Now that's changed because he had a good game. That's changed, and all of a sudden we're keeping him. So I wonder if Lo Celso is a similar thing. It's kind of like he's a player we're getting an offer for. We're not. It's not like we're desperate to let him go, but because we're getting an offer for him, it's like, well, maybe he hasn't quite worked out. Maybe we should just let him go and free up another space for someone else. It's a bit of an odd one, but look. If we do get rid of him and get someone else in,
Amrabat.
If it's Amrabat, then fuck that. But if we are going to get a big quality, and I'm not going to sit here and say, oh no, I'm desperate for Lo Celso to stay, because
there's no rumours of anyone with any sort of quality coming in. Right now in January.
No,
there's no rumours of anything. So what we're led to believe is that these 3 players are going out, and pretty much no one creative is going to come in. So what's the point?
Well, remains to be seen.
Remains to be seen. Yeah.
We'll bring Harvey White in from the academy.
You know what I mean? May as well.
Get Dane Scarlett in. Not Dane Scarlett, sorry. What's his name? The other guy. Divine. Yeah, Alfie Divine. We'll get him involved. He's creative. Can he be creative?
He's in the bloody under 18. Never mind, under 23s.
I don't know. Look, I think Lo Celso for me is a player who I thought under Conte could thrive. I thought he was a player who had the work ethic and the quality to be a very good player under Antonio Conte. So the fact that we're so willing to let him go, and now it's not only it seems it's gone from Conte using him, and now it's like we're desperate for him to leave. And what did he say after the game? He said I picked my squad for this game, and the rest you have to talk to about this back to the club.
Yeah, it does. For me, what I got hearing that last night, I did feel like Lo Celso was picked for the game yesterday, and the club told him not to pick him.
You reckon that's what he's saying?
That's what I felt. Well, that's what I got from it. I mean, it was a bit cryptic, wasn't it? So you can't really tell 100% what it actually meant, but that's what I took.
And then obviously Lo Celso, as we showed before, his Instagram said, "I'm fully fit," and all this stuff, and yeah, I've just not been picked basically. So it's sad. It does, to be honest, it does look like he's going to be leaving. Obviously, if he goes to Sevilla, it'll be a good signing for him, and it's a good club for him to go to. Obviously, he has a mate there in Lamela, fellow Argentinian player. So
yeah, they can enjoy the injury treatment.
But if it's a loan, but look, how much we signed? We signed him for like 45 million, didn't we? So are we literally going to let our two highest signings in Ndombele and Lo Celso both go out on loan?
Apparently so. Apparently so.
And then I think if it's going to be a swap deal, I'm more open to that. That's something like, okay, for using him to get another player in
off Sevilla in the midfield.
I'm trying to remember who they've got on their squad right now. Who does Sevilla have in their squad? I know they play Rakitic, like 35. I don't want him, but who does Sevilla have? No, Ever Banega, is he still there or has he left?
That's the only name that came into my head, but he's got to be getting on a bit.
I think he left. Ever Banega. There's no, maybe Koundé. Papu Gomez, he's old. Diego Carlos at centre back. I wouldn't want to do that though. Thomas Delaney, the Danish centre mid, is decent, but he's nothing special. Yeah, I think Ever Banega left, so I don't know. No, not really. There's no one really at Seville that I'm desperate to see come to Spurs.
So yesterday they played Celta Vigo, right? They played a 4-3-3 formation. You know what? Who could be one of the players that they're looking at is Diego Carlos.
The centre-back, yeah.
Yeah, so he could be one, but he's a centre-back. He's not a creative midfielder.
Exactly. I wouldn't want to... Also, I don't think he's that good that it's a straight swap or anything like that. It would have to be money coming our way. And Carlos for that deal.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, man. I don't know. If we're going to get rid of these three players and not bring anyone in, we're going to pay for it second half of the season.
Look, my stance on Lo Celso, has been I like him as a player. I think he's got great quality. I've always believed that if he did get fit and got a run of games, he'd be a very important player for us. Unfortunately, he's never been able to stay fit for any sustained period of time. And when he does come back, it always seems to be a process with him of getting back to finding a rhythm and getting back to his best. And at the moment, he's not in that period where he's playing very well, and he hasn't been for quite some time. So, as much as I want him to stay and as much as I like him as a player and I appreciate his quality, if we can find a deal, I'm not going to be that against it. But if we're going to sell him without finding replacing him with real passing ability and quality on the ball, then I'd rather roll the dice and keep him than roll the dice and bring in another defensive midfielder. That's my stance on him.
I completely agree with that, word for word, to be honest. I really do. But, I've always been a supporter of Giovanni Lo Celso, but at the moment, I think his performances he's making it hard for us to support him. But I know the qualities that he does have. And I just wishing and praying that he could have found that form again. But unfortunately, it hasn't been the case. And if we are going to get him out the door, there's no point getting him out the door unless we bring someone of his ilk in.
And I think it's different to say Ndombele, who obviously our record signing.
Actually played more minutes than
he has.
So
yeah, he has.
It's actually crazy to think about.
But in terms of Ndombele, obviously he's on 200 grand a week, so I think it's more important we get him out the door than someone like Lo Celso.
What is Lo Celso on?
I think he's on 70 or something. He's not like our highest earner or anything like that.
Yeah. All right. Let's move on. Let's talk about Adama Traore. There's been an update about it in the last few minutes, but let's start off talking about Romano. Last night he was saying this was this morning, and he said Tottenham are prepared to push on for Adama deal starting from today. Talks will restart with Wolves to enter into final details and reach an agreement. Club confident to complete the new signing. And then Dan Kilpatrick 10 minutes ago with an update saying Adama Traore is expected to become Antonio Conte's first signing, with Spurs close to agreeing a £20 million deal with Wolves for the Spain international.
Yeah, so it looks like this one is going to get over the line. I think that one looks like it's coming together. Everything suggests that the deal is progressing nicely and the deal will be agreed. I don't know what is taking so long. If the deal it does end up being 20 million, then this deal could have been done at the beginning of the month. Yeah. We knew the price was 20 million at the beginning of the month. All outlets were saying the price is 20 million. Wolves want 20 million. We're trying to get a loan with an obligation to buy. We've bid 50 million. That's been rejected. So if we end up paying 20 million in the end, right, it's just a waste of time, waste of everyone's time that is taken. We're on the 24th of Jan. We'll probably get announced at the end of the week or something, knowing Levy. So
Friday announcement.
Yeah, so I don't understand. Look, I'm not saying it's a bad deal. I'm not saying we shouldn't pay 20 million. I think it's a good deal. I think 20 million is a fair price for a player like Adam who's got 18 months left of his contract for his quality. They want him gone because he's got 18 months left and they want some money for him. Or you want a cheap deal. 20 million in this day and age for Adama Traore is a fair price. Could have got it done on the 1st of Jan. And now we're 24th of Jan, and we're still, I don't know, we're haggling over a few 100,000 probably at this point, knowing Levy.
Yeah, and it's a disgrace why we haven't got him in already. But now, now all the games are done in January. It doesn't even matter if we get him in the last day of the window now. It's just frustrating, so frustrating that we were linked with him pretty much the day before, days before the window. We were linked with him last summer. We were linked with him every single day. The press have spoken about Adama Traore to Tottenham this month, every single day. And it's taken right until the end of the window to get it done when we've had 3 games against Chelsea this month, games against Leicester. I know we won the game against Leicester, but, you know, it could have helped us out a lot in these games, Adama Traore, a lot. And like you said today in the match review, you know, if we had Adama yesterday, we would have had that extra avenue. We wouldn't have to play Doherty yesterday.
Exactly. And there were loads of opportunities where Doherty had hard opportunities and space to run into and players to take on. Where if it was Adama there, I'm not saying, we get loads of goals, but there we are definitely creating much more dangerous situations than we did yesterday, where we've created one, which we scored from. And that's a fact of the matter. So I'm looking forward to Adama being part of the squad, as I've said. I think he could definitely add a lot of value. We definitely need someone with his pace and dribbling ability from deeper areas and from wide positions, which we don't really have at the moment. Emerson doesn't really like to take players on. Doherty can't take players on. So a player on the right wing who has that ability would be invaluable to us if we can convert him into a right wing back. And also, we have a very, very dangerous substitute as well. He's a player who we know we've seen enough times for Wolves. We've seen in the past 2 games for Wolves what he can do as a substitute. He scored 2 and 2. I know one of them was slightly offside, but
he took it really well, didn't he? That second one. Took it really well.
Great finish.
Just breezes past players.
And he can make an impact. So for me, someone like Adama as well, under Conte, who will definitely improve under Conte as well. You know, the managers he's been in the Championship, and then he's had Nuno and he's had Bruno Lage. I'm not saying they're bad managers, but none of them are on Conte's level. So if Conte can bring out something different in him, or use him in a way to make him as dangerous as possible, then I think we've got a very good, solid signing there. And I'm looking forward to it. And he's just an exciting player. I'm excited to see him in a Spurs shirt as much as he might. I'm confident that there's going to be games where he's going to frustrate the hell out of me. And I'm going to be like, why is this guy on the pitch? He can't pass a ball to a Tottenham player. I'm sure there'll be games like that. But I'm sure more often than not, he's going to scare the shit out of the opposition defences.
If anyone's going to get him playing, anyone's going to get his end product up to scratch, that man is Antonio Conte, isn't it?
Yeah. So. And he doesn't even need to get loads of goals and assists. He just needs to create space, open up avenues for our better players like Kane and Son. And if anything, he can definitely do that.
Yeah. Definitely.
And that's what I'm confident about.
And you know, we've got so much more quality going forward than Wolves as well. So I think you're going to see a lot of end product. Maybe not from Adama specifically, but I think you're going to see a lot more goals in the team because of Adama in the team.
And the truth is, his best season at Wolves was when he was on the right with Jota and Jimenez up front for Wolves in the centre.
11 assists that season.
He got 11 assists, he got 7 goals or something. His end product was really, really good. And he actually had people to aim at. The season after, Jota was sold. Jimenez had a bad injury, so he wasn't around.
It was him and Fabio Silva, wasn't it?
It was him and some teenager up front. So all of a sudden, the assists and the goals dried up a lot. And then obviously this season, he obviously there's a lot.
He's been in and out of team.
He's been in and out of team, but obviously he's a new manager. He's had a lot of transfer speculation, and he got sold in the summer, so maybe that's playing on his mind. So and clearly, we actually in the last month or so, or the last few weeks, we've seen an uptick in his performance since January's opened again. So maybe he's just trying to up his performance again. I think he's a good player.
Everyone, I think he's a good player as well, but everyone talks about his end product and everyone clowns on his numbers and stuff like that, which is fine, rightly so, and everything like that. But that season you're talking about under Nuno, when he got 7 goals and 11 assists, that shows he's got it in him.
Yeah,
that shows he's got it in him, and that to me proves if he has better players around him, we will be bearing the fruits.
Definitely, and he can provide. He offers something we just don't have in our squad as well. So definitely, that's a transfer I'm looking forward to, and hopefully we get that done by the end of the window. And it's interesting, I know it's Footy Insider, but they're claiming Conte is putting huge pressure on Levy to complete 3 signings plus Adama this week.
Plus Adama.
That's what they're saying.
Footy Insider,
yeah. Classic Footy. But
those 3 signings are going to be Cristiano Ronaldo, Lionel Messi and Paulo Dybala.
You can't believe that, though, that Conte would be doing that, can't you?
Yeah, it can, but it's so easy for a shit publication to just
write
come out
that
and say that.
We should write it. We should write it.
We should write it, you know. I heard Coach Stell wants to be at ITK now, so maybe he'd get him to put that out.
Come on, Stell. But I hope it is true. I hope he is.
Yeah, of course. I'm praying it's true, but who knows, man? Who knows?
Yeah, we'll see.
Let's move on to the last topic of the headlines. We got Japhet Tanganga, Charlie Eccleshare this morning saying that talks between Milan and Tottenham Hotspur expected to continue today over a possible loan move for Japhet Tanganga. Spurs wary of letting a defender go who started their last 5 games, and if so, favouring option to buy. Milan just want a straight loan. What do you make out of the Tanganga situation?
I think that he's a player who could benefit massively from a loan deal, especially if he's going to be playing regularly. I wouldn't want him sold because I think that if he did go out on loan and played regularly, he can come back a much better defender, which we could use. But if we did get a good deal for him, if we did get a good deal and money for him, I would definitely be interested in getting money and bringing in a centre back who could be either more experienced or more ready to play right now. So I would, but if we are going to loan him out, it leaves us short. I think that's the reality. So unless we're going to sign someone, I would keep him. But if they're saying they're delaying the purchase of a centre back till the summer,
we have to keep him.
Then we have to keep him because otherwise, if Sanchez gets injured or Romero, I don't know.
Would that be the same case with Joe Rodon for you?
Yeah, because we need numbers. We need players to cover already. If Davis gets injured already, we have no replacement for him. So what if the other centre backs get injured? Where do we go? It's going to be very, very difficult if we let go of Tanganga.
Rodon's hardly seen a minute the whole season.
Exactly, he doesn't seem to trust him. He seems to like Tanganga more than Rodon.
What I'm saying is if an offer comes in for Rodon, regardless of bringing one in or out, would you be open to sell him because he hasn't seen a minute?
Yeah, more open to Rodon than Tanganga because Tanganga's a bit more versatile. He can play on the left, right, and the centre, whereas Rodon
apparently only the centre.
So I wouldn't want. I would rather get rid of Rodon than Tanganga, but if Tanganga's the only one we're getting an offers for, I guess if we're getting money for him, it's not the end of the world. But if we're
the end of the world, we don't bring one in though because we're just depleting our squad every transfer
further and further. Yeah, it's a difficult one. It's interesting to see. Hopefully, we're only going to take money from him if we have someone lined up. That's what I'm hoping. But knowing us, we're probably going to take money, then just go scrambling around, and then probably end up with no one.
Yeah, last day of the window, we'll be hearing, "Oh, this one's coming, that one's coming." Oh, well, we left it too late, and it's not going to happen.
Exactly. So, look, I think I'm not that against Tanganga moving. But it's just as long as we do the right thing and make sure we're not leaving ourselves short again.
Yeah,
that's the way I feel, Japhet Tanganga. But again, it doesn't help that he had another poor game yesterday, does it?
No, it didn't. This is interesting from Dan Kilpatrick. Apparently, Delhi has thanked some members of the staff in the event that a transfer is arranged before he returns to the club. Yeah,
it looks like Delhi is going to be on his way out, doesn't it?
Yeah,
he was in the squad on Wednesday, wasn't he? And he wasn't even in the squad yesterday. And not only that, he was live on TikTok or something during the game and doing silly
stupid things.
So that goes to show where his mind's at the moment. Not definitely on Tottenham Hotspur.
Yeah.
And so I think, even if it's just a loan with no option to buy, just loan him out, get him out the squad. And that'll be best for everyone.
Do you think if we loan him out to Newcastle, let's say from now to the end of the season, and he really does well, does he come back and fight his way back in the team, or do we just cut our losses and sell at the end of the season?
Depends how well, but let's say he smashes it out like a Lingard. Let's say he has the same second half season Lingard did at West Ham. I think we assess it back in pre-season. Conte assesses it in pre-season. I think more likely he'll be sold still.
Yeah, because when you look at it, right, if he comes back after a really good, then his stock is somewhat a bit higher.
Yeah.
And if he comes back and does the same stuff all over again, then we're just back to square one, aren't we?
Yeah, exactly. So I think it's still better off selling him. But if he comes back in pre-season and he smashes it out in pre-season and Conte's convinced he can be part of the team.
Smashed it out this pre-season, didn't he?
Did he?
I think he was a bit better.
I don't remember. He always smashed down pre-season. But if he comes back and Conte thinks he can be part of the team, then I'm happy to keep him. But I think the more likely is it'll just raise his price and we'll sell him. That's probably the most likely scenario. So let's just give him a 6-month loan deal and see how he does. That's just the best for everyone at this point.
Yeah. All right. Are we bringing on guests today?
Yeah.
We haven't put out a link apparently.
Yeah. I wanna get people's opinions. No, or
yeah, we've been going for what, an hour and 20 minutes. I guess we'll go till 2 hours. We'll get some people on. We'll put the link in the community section right now for you guys to come on and have your say. I know Daigle's been messaging.
Yeah, Brian wants to come on. Of course he does. Is he at the training ground right now? No, he's not, I don't think.
He said to me yesterday he would be.
1 sec.
I think he might be going to see Bob now.
I think we've just seen that. So I don't think Brian's going to come on. But I want to get people's opinions on what they think about the transfer window the next 7 days. How much work we need to get done. Is it too late to get all the work done we need? Have we left it too late yet again? Or is there still enough time to do the business? I want to get David on as well, because let's send the link to David, because he wasn't able to come on yesterday because I had to go. I see him in the chat here. So if we can send the link to him.
There's another update here from Dan Kilpatrick saying, while Delhi is not currently close to an exit, Conte has given his squad time off until the weekend, and the midfielder has thanked, like I just said, what I just said, but yeah, he's thanked some of the
he's just put out an article. Let's see if we've got any more snippets here. It says Tottenham face potentially pivotal week of under Conte's tenure with the club, desperate to offload Ndombele, Lo Celso and Delhi to free up space. The trio were all left out of the squad against Chelsea. Which was the final game before the window closes at 11 p.m. on the 31st, as Conte increased pressure on the club. He says, as Conte increased pressure on the club to act on his recommendations this week. So he has been putting on pressure, which is good.
So the insiders tier 1 these days.
Exactly. Traore is expected to become Conte's first signing, with Spurs close to $20 million deal with Wolves for the Spain international. Offloading Ndombele, Lo Celso and Delhi will not be easy, but the former has held talks with PSG over a loan move. The club are still discussing terms, including what percentage of his 200 grand a week wages, if any, will be paid by Spurs, and whether the deal will include a permanent option. Spurs are also open to letting Delhi and Lo Celso leave on loan or on a swap deal with Sevilla. Reported by interest in Argentine international, who took to Instagram shortly after yesterday's team was announced to insist he was 100% in good condition. When asked, Conte said, I selected the players for this game, and this question is one for the club to answer. And then you said what you said about Delhi. Offloading the trio would free up huge sums in wages for new signings and make a new midfielder priority, while with Spurs considering a bid for AC Milan's Frank Kessie, which apparently, we've been reading, we have agreed a deal, but it's the agent wants to wait.
Kessie, yeah.
So I don't know how we get around that issue.
We can't.
There's no, unless we pay him what we would be paying him on free transfer.
No, there's no way around that. I think even if we do and say we'll pay him that, I think they still wait and see what other clubs come in.
They could, yeah. I mean, it makes more sense to him get a bidding war. Bidding war is better for him.
Yeah, and also, you can wait and see if Spurs get into the Champions League, and if you don't, a Champions League club can come in for them.
And he's still at the Cup of Nations, isn't he? So
I think Ivory Coast are out, aren't they?
It says here he's currently at the AFCON.
Oh right, I thought Ivory Coast were out, but I might be wrong.
It says Kessie would prefer to move at the end of the season when he would be a free agent and he would guarantee a signing on fee. So Spurs and Wolves are both confident that Traore will move to North London this week, but the Midlands club have rejected an initial bid of 15 million. Conte wants Traore to play right wing back, where neither Doherty or Emerson have convinced him. He says Conte is also targeting a new forward, although Bergwijn impressed outings this week suggest he could deputise Kane up front, which would definitely be the narrative if we don't get a forward. Young midfielder Rodon Tanganga also available to leave, and their exits would free up space for Spurs to pursue another centre-half. Spurs would also listen to offers for Doherty, with Traore's arrival set to see the Irishman fall further down the pecking order. And that is that.
Ivory Coast are not out, sorry.
Yeah.
They finished top of their group.
Who went out? Ghana went out, maybe you're thinking of.
Ghana went out. But I just didn't see them in the last 16. Oh, they're playing. Oh, they are. They're playing Egypt in a couple of days' time. So yeah, Ivory Coast are still in it. But look, let's get some people on and let's see what they have to think about the transfer situation. And if you want to go into the game back last night, we can. But let's go and get George on. George, how you doing, buddy?
Hey guys, how you doing?
Yeah, I'm all right. Getting a bit stressed with what's going on in the transfer window about players in, players out. We can touch on the game last night as well if you want. But what do you want to talk about today?
Yeah, I mean, I spoke yesterday after the game. I didn't see. I'm a terrible watcher of Spurs on TV. I just get really agitated unless I'm at the ground itself. So I was watching I was following the watch along and sort of flipping over to it as the incidents were happening. But yeah, I mean, look, the goal was a goal. It should have stood, as far as I was concerned. The performance was pretty much what I expected, and the result was pretty much what I expected. Transfer-wise, look, we're desperate. I don't know. I'm not sure if what they're telling reporters is absolutely true. I mean, we are desperate for a creative midfielder. I mean, I can't see any position other than the striker role, which I would hold in the same level. We are crying out that Chelsea were running at us from every direction yesterday with no fear whatsoever that we could do anything. And that's what I've seen in all the games, in all the 4 games that we played against Chelsea. There was this real play without any inhibitions because Tottenham just don't have much that they can throw back. And it was only that one momentary lapse of concentration from them that allowed the cross to come in from Cess that created a problem. So we need somebody centrally in that position that's going to be able to pick a lock or put a pass through that's going to create an opportunity for us to score a goal, because it's just not. We have nothing at the moment.
And isn't it just crazy? Isn't it? I know what you're saying. It might not be true, but if it is true, how crazy it is to think about selling Dele, Ndombele, and Lo Celso and not bringing anyone of the same ilk, creative-wise.
Yeah, I mean, is it crazy? I think we've got to cut our losses, Ben, because.
But we still need to bring someone in, otherwise we're even shorter in numbers.
100%. 100%, but I think the situation with Ndombele has become toxic. I think the situation with Dele, he's had the opportunities over 4 or 5 managers now, and everything's just declined. It's been a steady decline from where he was, which I think is probably one of the saddest things that I've ever had to witness as a Spurs supporter from any of our players. I mean, Dele was, I think he was my favourite player, even above Harry, when he was first coming through, and I had so much hope for him in the future. I mean, he was being spoken about like Stevie G, potentially better with more talent. So it's really sad as to what's happened. But at some point, you've got to say he's had his opportunities. We can't afford to be too precious about some of these players, and they've got to go. They've just for their own good as well as the clubs. Lo Celso's a strange one. Lo Celso has shown me very little of the quality that I think he can give, and he's just a real conundrum. Every time I've seen him play, I've been really underwhelmed about what he can do. And ultimately, I think if Conte's saying, "I'm not sure, I'd rather get rid," I'd rather listen to Conte than perhaps maybe keep him. Occasionally managers do get these things wrong, but I'm not sure. Conte at this point in time, with his knowledge and with his pedigree, whether I would sort of err on the side of his decision or keeping Lo Celso. I think at the moment I would probably like to sell if we can, but as you rightly say, there's no point in selling if you ain't going to bring anybody else in.
But George, it's a difficult one at the moment to know whose decision is what, because as of a week ago, Bergwijn was set to be out the door. Was that Conte's decision? Was that the club's decision? Now he scored 2 goals against Leicester. He's now right back in the frame. He's not going anywhere. So, but now it's moved on to Lo Celso. He was used on Wednesday night. He started both legs of the Carabao Cup, albeit didn't play the best of games. But clearly, to me anyway, he seemed like a player Conte was using and wanted. And now all of a sudden, he's set to be out the door. But is that the club's decision? It's Conte's decision? It's very difficult to know, isn't it?
Yeah, I guess it is. I don't think with Bergwijn, though, I think he wasn't being played because he was injured. I think prior to that, I think Conte was trying to utilise him, and he in this whole process that he was going through to make judgments on the players as to whether he was going to use them or not. Lo Celso,
so quickly, he wasn't being played, true, but he was set to go to Ajax. Like, we were about to agree a deal. That was in the pipeline, it seemed.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure. Again, I heard reports that Ajax were interested in him, and I'm sure he probably went to the club and said, "Look, if I'm not going to get used, I'd rather go." Whether that's Conte's decision and the club's decision, I mean, I'm not sure that the club is really willing to get rid of a lot of these players, because don't forget, we're talking about Levy here. He's not going to want to make losses. And currently the stock value of these players is not particularly high. So if he could keep hold of Bergwijn, and if Bergwijn can do a job rather than go out into the transfer market, Levy would much rather do that. I think we saw that really with the documentary when he had his talks with Ndombele, and he seemed quite, look, that could have all been staged to the cameras, we don't know. But I don't get the impression that we ever really wanted to see the back of Bergwijn. Or maybe that's just me because I like him as a player. But I think with Lo Celso, I do get the impression that he has now been frozen out. Certainly in the performances that I saw, I think he actually played in the Morecambe game. Yeah. Again, I wasn't impressed until Harry Kane came on, and then that seemed to jolt him sort of slightly into life. But up until that point, I wasn't impressed at all. And it may well be that he goes out on loan, but I think if he goes out on loan, I don't think we'll see him again. I think it may be his decision as well, that he would rather part ways.
Yeah, it's a difficult. It's very, very difficult, but to see exactly whose decision is what and what's happening with transfers in and out. But George, we have a week to go. Have we left it too late at this point to do all this business?
Absolutely, it's the same story, isn't it? Again, we don't know. Has Paratici, you know, is he doing what he does, what he supposedly does, and has half a dozen irons in the fire, and waits until the last few days in order to finalise what he wants? Let's wait and see. But I mean, my gut reaction is that again, it's the club being cheap. Unfortunately, it's the only way that I can say it. I mean, the whole thing about the Adama Traore thing. I mean, we were hearing reports that we put in a bid in for 17 million. I mean, 20 million is not a bad price for his in today's. Why are you quibbling about 3 million? Surely we did all this with Grealish, and we came up, as real losers in that whole situation. Now, I'm not saying Adama is a Jack Grealish, but he can be utilised, I think, more effectively than some of the players that we have. Even though his stats aren't great, if Conte wants him, let's take a punt. Yes, we have left it too late. I don't think we have been too associated with the top, what you would call the top signings, or should I say potential signings, players like Vlahovic, enough to suggest that there is going to be anything groundbreaking, I think, in this transfer window. So if we get Adama and maybe get somebody who can maybe do a job, an experienced central midfielder, and perhaps, I don't know, some sort of backup for Harry Kane, but I just think that that's going to be a tall order within 7 days.
Yeah.
Also,
Go on, George.
I saw something come up as well on my Twitter about 15 minutes ago, but I didn't want to lose your feed. Something about Alistair Gold saw Paratici very animated with Pierre. It said Pierre Luigi, but I didn't read all of it. Did he have some sort of a tete-a-tete with Galini yesterday or something? I didn't get to read everything.
I didn't see that.
I haven't seen anything.
I haven't read the full Ali Gold article yet, to be honest. But not too sure about that, to be honest.
I could be wrong, but again, I have my slight concerns with this whole thing in the background with Paratici, with the Italian false accounting claims, and whether that is sort of that is going to be in the background and sort of making a negative sort of presence within the whole negotiating Spurs system. So it's very difficult to be positive at the moment with the way things currently stand. I mean, I saw Southampton's coming up. Is that our next league game?
Yeah.
So I saw them play Manchester City over the weekend. I mean, if that's the Southampton that we're going to face, I mean, we've got quite a task on our hands to try and break them down and score against them. Because they looked impressive. They really did. I don't know whether that was more to do with maybe Man City taking their foot off the gas, but they were really up for that game. And considering how difficult they were to break down at St Mary's, I'm a little bit nervous about that game as well.
I want to talk to you about the defence, because there's rumours about Tanganga and Joe Rodon potentially going from now to the end of the transfer window. There's a report that said that we won't. Apparently, we've delayed our search for a defender till the summer, unless we sell both of these players. But if we were to sell one of them and we don't bring one in, I mean, how detrimental will that be to us?
Well, Tanganga's playing way out of form at the moment, isn't he? I mean, he's like a totally different player to the one that I saw play against Manchester City at the start of the season and some of his other performances. I think what's really affected him was that Crystal Palace game. I think we saw part of it yesterday as well, when he got the yellow card, and all of a sudden the aggression just gets really toned down, and he's just a different player. Joe Rodon, again, I mean, it's really difficult to say, but sell them and then what happens? We don't have any cover for any of the positions. To me, it doesn't make sense. For whatever they are. But ultimately, unless you don't have somebody you're going to be bringing in, why on earth would you decide to sell them? I can't believe that their wages are that high. So I can't. I don't see any real credence in doing anything like that.
All right, George, just before we let you go, I want to hear a prediction. How many in, how many out in the next 7 days?
At the moment, I would say the maximum in is going to be 2. I think most likely, I think it's just going to be Adama by the looks of it at the moment. I really hope I'm wrong. How many out? I think at least 2. I think and Ndombele, they are desperate, obviously, to offload, and I think Delhi as well. Whether Lo Celso ends up going, I'm not too sure. I think that will depend on whether it's a 1 or a 2 that we end up bringing in. So yeah, I'll stick my neck out and hope for 2. I'd say 2 out, 2 in. Probably Delhi and then Ndombele, Adama, and I don't know. Let's be crazy, Vlahovic to come.
Very crazy. At least you can make us smile on a day like this, George. We'll see you very soon. Thanks for coming on, my friend.
Take care, guys.
Cheers. Bye. All right, let's keep going. We've got the Irish Hotspur, Dave. Big up, Dave. He's even got a haircut just like Harry Kane. I know he wants to be on form in the next few days. Dave, how are we doing?
Yeah, I'm absolutely buzzing. Well, pissed off over yesterday, but my trip for Wolves is going to be booked today, so on February 13th.
Big up.
So that's making me happy.
Yeah, sounds good, man. Sounds good. I mean, I know you tried to get on the fan show last night, but I don't know what happened, but you couldn't get on. So do you want to just give us a bit of review, in your eyes, what happened yesterday?
Yeah, look, we were just bet by better quality. It's that simple. I mean, you look at the way we set up in hindsight, like obviously not the same tactics and that, but it's the same sort of idea, the way we did against Liverpool, the way we did against City. The first half that worked. The second half, 2 moments of lapses of concentration cost us. And we were just bet by the better quality. I mean, like, we were even trying to get out of our own half. Even when we did get into that final third, how many passes did Doherty give away? How many passes did Lucas Moura give away when he came on? How many times were our passes overhit or underhit? With Chelsea, they play the football. Every touch is crisp. Every pass is spot on the money. And that's how they're able to keep possession and how we weren't. We were just beaten by the better quality yesterday. That is it. I mean, even when we went down, the players still tried to get forward, still tried to find a way back into the game and stuff like that. It just didn't happen because we don't have the quality they do.
Yeah, and it's strength in depth. I mean, you could just see 1 or 2 injuries and we're completely out on our legs. We had to completely change around the formation and, get pretty much squares in round pegs, round holes. I mean, Doherty right wing, Sessegnon left wing. I mean, as soon as you saw that lineup yesterday, you knew, didn't you?
Yeah, well, do you know what? I could see it. I could see what Conte was trying to do. Sessegnon at left back and or at left wing and Doherty at right wing. It was to set up to cover Tanganga and Ben Davies at left back. Double up down that side. I can understand why you have Hudson-Odoi and you have Hakim Ziyech. I mean, we all know what that guy can do, because Chelsea are not actually too good going through the middle. They look to create a lot of their chances out wide. So or they go out wide. And I could see what Conte was trying to do. And don't get me wrong, in the first half it worked. I mean, I was happy. We closed up the gaps. They didn't really create too many chances on the whole yesterday. All they created was from the 2 lapses of our concentration. But look, as soon as he sent out the lineup, I could understand what he was trying to do. But we also have to remember the onus wasn't on us to go there and get 3 points yesterday. With City dropping points the night before, Chelsea were going to come out at some stage. And if we could have held on for another 15, 20 minutes in the second half playing the way we were, the gaps would have appeared yesterday because Chelsea wouldn't have settled for a draw. We would have took a draw going into this game. But I will say to Spurs fans is, let's not go too mad about this. Top 4 was never, ever going to hinge on this game yesterday. Yes, it would have been nice to beat Chelsea. Don't get me wrong. I mean, it hurts just as bad as it did yesterday as it does today. It hurts. I mean, I want to beat them just as much as everybody else. But What happens now after the international break is what decides where Tottenham are going. So we just have to dust ourselves down, accept it for what it was yesterday, beaten by the better quality, move on, and push for this top four because we're not out of it yet. No way.
We're not out of it, David, but we're 7 days away from the end of the transfer window. We have got no incomings confirmed yet, no outgoings confirmed. A lot of business to be done this window. We're hearing rumours of Lo Celso, Dele, and Domble all leaving. We're hearing rumours that Tottenham want to bring in a right back or a centre mid and maybe, if possible, a striker before the end of the window.
A full rebuild in 7 days, Dave.
Yeah, David, you know, we're a week to go. Surely it's not enough time to get all this business done.
Do you know what? The market doesn't usually hit up until the last week anyway. If you always look at the transfer market, maybe summer as well, it's usually the big deals that take time to complete. But in the last week is when a lot of these deals come to fruition because everyone's willing to kind of do business, whatever business they need to get done. But look, you're asking an awful lot. Like to bring in 2 players, 3 players now is what they're talking about. I don't think we'll get 3. But bringing in 2 or 3 that they're talking about, I just don't see it happening. I mean, but if we do bring in the players, what I want is players that can play in the tight spaces, play when there's pressure on them. I don't want to see another Matt Doherty come in here where, you know, he can't pass a ball. You look at them Chelsea players yesterday, every single one of them could take the ball out of the air. Every single one of them could play in tight spaces. Every single one of them could beat the man if needed. Every single one of them, their touch was class. We need to be bringing in players like that are technical here. This is our biggest problem. If we had technical players yesterday, we could have beaten Chelsea. So for me, it's all about bringing in. It's not the quantity right now; it's the quality of the player we're bringing in, and I think that's the biggest thing. Look, Adama Traore, if we could get him in, I mean, he'll certainly help. He will certainly help. That guy single-handedly can change a game. He can get you up into the opposition third, which is where we want to be, which is what we struggle with at times. So he'll be a good asset in that terms. But after that, it's about bringing in a centre midfielder. For me, I don't care what it costs. Go and pay the money. More like a deep line playmaker, someone that can take the ball off the defence, someone that can turn and get the ball to Harry Kane, Bergwijn, Lucas Moura, or Sonny, whoever it may be. Someone that's very, very comfortable on the ball. I'd be happy with 2 this window.
Look, David, we could all sit here and talk about who we want and what we want and how we want it and blah, blah, blah. But you've got rumours and reliable sources coming out saying we're trying to offload Dele, Ndombele, Giovanni Lo Celso in the middle, our 3 creative players in the middle. And they're not. There's no talk of any creative player coming through the door.
Yeah. Do you know what? I have no problem with the 3 of them going anyway, to be honest with you. I mean, you look at what they've had to offer over the last while, especially Ndombele and Celso since they've been here, and Dele Alli for the last 3 years. It's not good. I get what you're saying, Ben, but we can't keep hanging on to them. We can't keep them here if they're offering absolutely nothing. We can't do it because they're all out of the manager's plans, and eventually it's going to happen what happened under Jose and others, where the more people out of the manager's plan, they'll all gang together, and then it creates a big problem. Dele Alli was on Instagram yesterday while the game was going on. I mean, He just doesn't give a flying crap. You look at Ndombele, he doesn't want to be here. He told us in the summer. Lo Celso, he's always injured, but then comes fit for Argentina. He's only offered us 1 good month since we splashed out 45 million on him. These players that do not care, they have to go regardless. But look, it's not ideal because if we don't sign players and you do let these guys go, you're bringing up youngsters. Whether they're good enough to step in and help, who knows? But I'm at the point now where I'd rather these youngsters fill out the rest of the squad and get rid of these guys that we spent massive money on and spend massive wages on who are just not absolutely doing anything. But I do get your point. Like, if you're going to let these 3 go, you have to have bodies coming in. I mean, you look at the guy we were linked with yesterday, Amrabat. I mean, we started off with Vlahovic at Fiorentina, and now we've gone with a guy called Amrabat, who I believe was out injured for nearly a year. You know what I mean? And it sounds like a Tottenham deal to do this because it means his market value will go down. You know, so it'd be a good price for Tottenham, but you can't be bringing in players like that. Players that we bring in this window have to be ready to hit the ground running. They have to be ready to go because they're coming in to help the situation. They don't have time to come in, get up to speed. The players that we sign have to come in and ready to go to help this squad.
Yeah, but you talk about very important getting Ndombele, Dele, and Lo Celso all out. Which I take your point. I think I wouldn't be that disappointed if any of them were to leave at this point, this window, as long as we get players out. But if we were to get them out and not bring anyone in, do you like? You got to think about other players in the squad right now who are performing, who are part of the squad. You got to think of Harry Winks, Ben Davis, Eric Dyer, Steven Bergwijn to an extent. These are players now who are fully integrated to the squad, who maybe a couple weeks ago a lot of people would have said would have been happy for them to go and to leave. So it just goes to show how quickly things can change. And there's but they have to be in the squad for that possibility to be there. And maybe the boat has sailed there for Ndombele and Dele, but someone like Lo Celso, maybe things can change for him if he does remain there. And if we were to cut ties with them three and not bring anyone in, do you not think we're weaker?
Do you know what, Sim? I take your point, and I fully get it. But for us Spurs fans, we have to stop thinking like that. You know, what if? If we're sitting here being realistic, and I've always maintained this, we are praising the likes of Ben Davies, Dyer, and that for actually doing their job. They're not doing it exceptionally. They're doing what they were brought in to do in the first place, which was perform at an appropriate level. But if we want to go where we want to go to, which is winning trophies, in the long run, or over the next year or two, you're still going to have to buy better than Ben Davies. You're still going to have to buy better than Eric Dyer. You're still going to have to buy better than Davinson Sanchez. You know, we're still going to have to improve on them positions. But what they have done is just not made it an absolute emergency or make it look as bad as we first feared. But they will still have to be improved on. But we can't keep going with what if we bring them into the squad. We've done it time and time again with a lot of these guys. What they are doing is actually they're blocking the under-23s or some of the youths coming through. They're blocking their pathway because we say, let's keep them around. What if this manager can do that with them? What if that manager can do this with them? And then we end up always playing them in the cup games. I mean, look what happened. We nearly got embarrassed by Morecambe. We're out of the Europa Conference League, which we can say Europe robbed us, but we should never be in a position for them to rob us because of these guys. You look at Dennis Serkin. He left to go to Sunderland because there was no path for him to get into the first team because he couldn't play in the cup games. You look at Noni Madueke, another player who left, who we were linked with at PSV, having a stormer. But he left because he didn't see a pathway. Harvey White is going to be bordering on that decision to be made very, very soon. You have to get these guys gone because you can't be having them blocking the pathway for the under-23s or the youths coming through, because what message does that send out? They're not getting their chance in the cup games or anything like that to develop, to prove that they can offer to this squad because of these guys. And then when we do roll out these guys, they give us the same crap every single time. They have to go.
Yeah, I get that, but we can't stop. I mean, Harvey White is literally the only player we're talking about here, because you're talking about the central midfielders. You've got Winks, Højbjerg, Skip. The other three central midfielders we're talking about selling. So we can't go into the final 6 months of the season with those three midfielders and a Harvey White. It's just not possible, surely.
Well, I get what you're saying, but if you put in an Ndombele and a Celso or Dele Alli, we're not going to compete in them games anyway. I'd much rather give the youth an opportunity.
I mean, I think there's more likely us competing with a Lo Celso in the middle than a Harvey White in the middle.
Well, you say that, but how many times does Lo Celso come on and misplaced passes, misplaced touches? He doesn't care what he's doing on the ball. He doesn't take care of the ball. It's erratic.
But we don't know about Harvey White. He can come in and just look completely out of his depth and you know, completely not put in a show.
He could, Ben, but we're not paying Harvey White 200 grand a week. We haven't spent 45 million on Harvey White.
We're not. I 100% agree with you. I completely agree with you. I'm happy to get Lo Celso out if we bring someone else in. But if we don't bring someone else in, we just don't have the numbers.
No, I get that, but just because we spent 45 million and paid them over 100 grand a week, it doesn't mean they're going to offer more than what a Harvey White would. Yeah. Right now, they're both offering the same, which is absolutely nothing. But who are we paying more wages to? Who have we spent money on? Lo Celso, Harvey, Dele Alli, Ndombele. These guys coming from the academy, we haven't. And they also need an opportunity to play. But I do take what you're saying. But then, Ben, what we're arguing about or what we're debating about right now, that falls back onto the owners.
100%. I mean, that's no question. That's no question. No question at all. I mean, they're the reason why we're in this mess, and we've been in this mess for the past couple of years, you know. We're going into a season completely underprepared. We're in a weaker state of squad than we were last season with Gareth Bale and Carlos Vinicius going. And if we sell these players now and don't bring anyone in, we're going to be even in weaker spot than we were at the start of the season.
Yeah, no, look, I get it. But the thing is, Ndombele, Ali, and Celso are offering nothing. So are they really a huge loss? No, they're not offering anything to the team.
Yeah, I think you're right, to be honest. But I just can't see us.
Yeah, but my point is, you could have said that. You could have said that about a lot of players before, and they have to. Maybe someone like Lo Celso could turn it around. But we just don't know. But it's interesting because Conte was using him before. You know, he played both legs of the Carabao. He was the first player.
He's played in 5 games out of the last 6 games.
Yeah, he came on again on Wednesday, didn't he? The first player to come on, and then all of a sudden he's left out the squad. So I don't think it's not a situation like Ndombele and Dele where Conte for the whole month has been looking to get rid of him. I think Conte was relying on him, but I think maybe it's a situation is we've gotten a bid or something, and now we're thinking, well, if we get money for him, maybe it's better to get rid because we're not getting money for anyone else.
Do you know what? Look, if he was relying on him, he would have started. He hasn't been starting, and he's been coming off the bench making cameos. He came off the bench the other night.
He started both legs of the Carabao Cup semi-final.
No, he didn't start the first leg.
Well, he started the second leg.
Yeah, but Galini also started the second leg. I mean, what does that tell us?
The only 2 games that he started is the second leg and the Morecambe game.
Yeah, exactly. And Galini started the second leg against Chelsea. Look, he doesn't fancy Lo Celso. Look, the thing is, we can sit here and we've had fans do this before. Dele Alli comes in, have a good game. Oh, we can use him. Same with Ndombele. He's had a good game. We can use him. Same with Lo Celso. We can use him. The problem with these guys is consistency. They do not care. They don't. A lot of them. Some of them don't want to be here. We keep doing this every single time as Spurs fans. Someone comes in out of the cold. He does one thing against a crap team. All of a sudden, oh, we can use him. He should be doing this. He should be doing that. The thing is, they're not good enough to fit into the system that he wants to play. A lot of the managers over the last few years have had a lot of the problems with some of these guys. They've barely been used. But even you look at our first team. I mean, Eric Dyer, he was only ever back up really in a Pochettino team. Davinson Sanchez couldn't get into a Pochettino team properly. Ben Davies, was rotated with Danny Rose, but Danny Rose was first choice. Half of that squad we sent out there yesterday. Harry Winks only came into it because Ndombele and Wanyama went injured. Their legs were cropped. A lot of that team yesterday that we played, half of that, were backups from the Pochettino era. Now, if we want to get back to the Pochettino era, it's already been shown. Some of these guys are not good enough to take us back to where we want to go to. But the reason why they find themselves into the team is because we either haven't bought enough or we haven't bought in their positions, and voila, they find themselves into the team. You know, it's not good enough. But it starts here. We have to get in a couple of bodies here, and then we have to go again in the summer. But I always get pissed off. I mean, every transfer window, no matter which one it is, you come into January, we're going to go big next summer. The money's not here. You come into the summer, there's an excuse that the money's not there, but we're going to go fucking for it in January. And it never, ever happens. I actually get pissed off with the transfer window. I get pissed off with reading a lot of the shit that's in the papers. People trying to sell papers, trying to get hits and likes on Instagrams. I get it. I mean, clubs are probably involved in it too. It's a big rumor mill. It keeps them all current. It keeps them all involved and stuff like that. But Jesus Christ, I mean, some of the lengths our chairman goes to come out to explain why we don't have the money or some of the reporters and stuff like that. I mean, you never hear Burnley Football Club they don't have that much money, but you never hear them crying why they can't do things in the windows and stuff like that. I'm just fed up with it. Honestly, I just want to get back to competing. I want to have a target of going to win trophies, and I want to see the players brought in to do that. Daniel Levy, open that checkbook. You're killing this club, man. You're killing it. We're already on the decline. We finished 8th last season. Yes, 5 off top 4. I still think we'll get top 4 this season, but that's because United are crap, Arsenal are crap, West Ham are not great. You know, it's more a reflection on the league than what it is us, to be honest with you. But my God, if we do scrape it by the skin of our teeth this year, he better not take that as a success and sit back. He better go again. We need players in here badly, and this window as well. So open that checkbook.
Before we let you go, David, just a quick prediction. 7 days, how many in, how many out?
Do you know what? See, I know a lot of the business we're going to do hangs on Ndombele going out. So I'm going to go 2 out. I'm going to go 2 out, 2 in.
All right.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
Adama in, and who's the other signing we're going to make?
I don't know. You know, some randomer from the Montenegro league that has the same attributes as Lionel Messi, I suppose.
Big up, Dave. We'll speak to you soon, my friend. Thanks for coming on.
No, thanks for having me, lads. And everybody else out there, we are Tottenham TV Army. Just sit back and be patient for the transfer window. I know it's a tough time, but look, we just got to wait and see what the club can do. But thanks for having me on, lads. And as always, come on, you Spurs.
Come on.
Come on, Dave.
Big up, Dave, as always. There was a super chat here from Victor Mathiasen saying they're not getting all 3 out. Sure, they might be looking, but after 2 outs, they won't get a 3rd out, I'm sure. It still opens room for a new player.
Definitely.
And I think that's probably spot on, to be honest.
Yeah, 100%. I just really hope we don't just get rid of, because as much as they're not performing and whatever you want to say about them, the fact of the matter is these 3 midfielders that are on the periphery are 3 of the most talented on-the-ball midfielders that we have. And yes, for whatever reason, it's not working out with any of them at the moment. We can't just get rid of them without bringing some quality through the door. Otherwise, we're not going to solve the issue that everyone's banging on about, which is creativity. The solution to solving our creativity problem is not getting rid of all creative players and not bringing any creativity in. That's not the solution.
And how long, if we do get those 3 out and don't bring anyone in, how long will it take until when we play onto this season, we get a couple of injuries and everyone, oh, why did we sell Lo Celso? Why did we sell this? You know what I mean? Maybe not the same with Dele Alli and Ndombele, but definitely with Lo Celso probably.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it would be silly to sell Lo Celso right now unless there's really someone lined up that will improve the team. I would keep hold of him. But Ndombele and Dele, I think, yeah, I would look to get rid of them for sure. I'd be quicker to get rid of them for sure.
Yeah. All right, let's bring on our next guest, who is named Bryce. Bryce, how we doing, buddy?
What's going on, guys? First time on. Yeah.
Welcome on, my friend.
Thanks for coming on.
Yeah. I got to follow the Irish Hotspur, so that's a tough ask, but you know.
Definitely.
Tough act to follow, yeah. But
first of all, let's talk about the game last night. I mean, what were your takeaways from the game last night?
We're just outclassed. You know, there's just a gulf in class. There's no denying it. You know, it is what it is. I'm not even so upset about the result. A lot of people have come on and kind of said it. You know, we were not expecting it. There's always hope, right? As a Spurs fan, you have to have the hope, and it's also
the hope that kills you, eh, Bryce?
Right? So yeah, exactly. But you have to have the hope that you can get a result. I mean, they've been dropping points recently, right, Chelsea? So Wolves have taken points off them. Brighton has taken points off them twice. Everton has taken points off them, for God's sake. So teams have taken points off them. But for whatever reason, we just shit the bed every time we play them, you know. So it is, you know, it's just one of those teams for us. But we know the gulf in class is there, and it's pretty significant. So, again, not so much upset about the result yesterday. Obviously, we are as a Spurs fans, but we need to move forward. I mean, you know, we knew that was going to happen. They're European champions, right? So we just need to move forward. But it's just, this club kills me, man. It's Levy that really kills me. You know, he gets to me bad. We're not you look at these other clubs that come in and they make moves, right? They're intentional about what they want to do, and we just dick around, you know, and every transfer window it happens, and we wait till the last minute. We're saving, you know, millions just to get a second or third tier guy. It's extremely frustrating. This club has taken years off my life, you know.
Tell me about it. But yeah, the game wasn't too great, but you know, we've got 7 days left of the transfer window with so much business still to be done or needing to be done. Is it inevitable at this point we're going to be left disappointed at the end of the window now?
Absolutely. How could you not be? You know, like, we're going to be. We always are. But we retain the hope and we keep coming back. I think we're all insane as a fan base, you know, but we love this club, you know, like we just keep doing it to ourselves. we're I guess masochistic in that way almost. Like we love the pain, but yeah,
Addicted to the
it's
pain.
it's coming back.
And
We love
even
this
and
stuff.
even in a transfer window where we thought we had an amazing transfer window when we signed Ndombele, Lo Celso, Ryan Sessegnon, Jack Clark, I think we're all thinking about it now, being like, maybe that wasn't such a good window.
Awful, man. And it's not even, we've invested money. Like we've put a decent amount of money into these players, but they're all just so shit, man. They're terrible. Like I can't even think of the last like true worthwhile signing. And it's just we just invest money in all the wrong areas. And recruitment, I think, has been the biggest recruitment
Probably
and scouting.
Højbjerg.
Has been the
Probably
biggest issue
Højbjerg and
for us.
Reguilon.
He's competed, right? I mean, Højbjerg's been good for us, but not even to where we want to be necessarily, And yeah, Reggie's been good. I like Reggie as a left back. He's been good for us. He bombs forward, and he's been pretty class for us. But Højbjerg's good. He can't string 2-3 passes together, man. I mean, God, he just shits the bed when he gets pressured. That's been our biggest thing. Is I think link up play from the defense to our attack. We don't have it at all, And when the press comes to us, we just shit our pants. We can't string 2, 3, 4 passes together. It was terrible watching yesterday.
You talk about the link to attack, and there's the rumours about Spurs selling Ndombele, Lo Celso, and Dele Alli without bringing in a creative player. What's your opinions on that?
So Dele Alli is kind of the person that got me into Spurs, ironically enough. So I just loved watching him play as when he first came onto the team. White Hart Lane was just a magnificent place to watch games. I've never been there, but you could feel the energy from that place. That's another story we can take, for another time maybe. But yeah, I mean, you could just feel and see how happy he was to be playing. He had such joy to him. Then he signed a new contract, and it's been all downhill from there. So I just think he's lost the love of the game a little bit, and it's tough to say that. We don't know what these players are really going through, but he needs a new change of scenery, and he needs a new place to reignite that passion for the game. So I'm happy to see him go. I'd be happy to see Ndombele go. The way that he walked off that pitch in Morecambe, I mean, he can't play again for this club, so I'm happy to see him go. The problem is Levy won't take losses on these guys. Or at least the minimal loss that he'll take, so he won't take these big losses, though we need them to be out of the club to really not only get this money incoming, but which I really don't feel like we need anyways, right? Like we could spend 400 mil and still be within FFP and be okay. And I think we have the money to do that, but not the way that Levy works. So I don't know. I think they need to go though, for sure. I think Ndombele can be out. Dele will be out. I think those are the two that we will get out this window. Who we bring in to replace them, I don't know. I think we get Adama in, and then I honestly am not confident in getting anything else done, unfortunately.
How do you see the rest of our season going if there's only Adama in and Ndombele and Dele out?
So I'm confident about getting top 4. It might be delusional, but these teams are dropping points as well, So Arsenal's been dropping points. Man, you are all over the place, and West Ham is inconsistent as well. So teams are dropping points, kind of like David was saying, which I don't think I've ever seen him without a hat on. So that was kind of surprising.
He had a nice little fresh fade, didn't he?
Yeah. So teams are dropping points. 4th is definitely there for the taking, which I think is making this whole situation even more frustrating, because it's absolutely open for that 4th place. Even 3rd, I guess, really, if we really put a run of form together. But we're just dragging our feet. When there's something to be achieved here this season, which is top 4 is going to be huge for us moving forward. That's absolutely up for grabs, and we're just dragging our feet once again, and it's extremely frustrating.
Yeah, I mean, what's your prediction from now until the end of the window? How many in, how many out? I know you said Adama in, so that's 1 in, but how many out?
Yeah, I think we're only going to get 1 in, unfortunately. And I think, like I said, Dele and Ndombele will be gone, which will be good for us, moving forward. But I think we're only going to get Adama in, and it's going to be extremely disheartening. But I still think even with that business being done, we can still push for top 4. It's going to be a fight to the end, I think, but I think we can still get it.
All right, Bryce.
We have to hope that we can get it.
we
You're
have
right
to.
about that.
We have to. But Bryce,
Yeah.
really good caller. Thanks for calling in, and hopefully we'll see you very
Absolutely, guys.
soon.
All right, take care.
See you, Bryce.
Cheers, Bryce.
Come on.
Come on, you Spurs. As is Abu Bakr says, David's analysis is spot on. Totally agree that it's not much odds if Slow, Ndombele and Delilah leave.
You got to remember when it comes to Conte, it's happened a few times. I'm not saying I'm questioning his judgment or anything about who wants to leave or whatever, but I'm just saying it's happened a couple times where he has told the club he's managing he wants to move on a player, and they haven't been able to, and then they've become a crucial part of his team. It happened with Skriniar in the summer.
It happened with Eriksen.
After a year, he wanted to get rid of Eriksen. There was rumours of him come back to Spurs, and he didn't. And then the second half of that season, he became a crucial part of the team.
Didn't it happen with Fabregas as well at Chelsea?
Fabregas, he was looking to. I think he wanted to move on, and he became a crucial element of that Chelsea team as well. So it's not like just because Conte has said like I'm happy for you to go, whatever. It doesn't mean if you do stay, like that's it for you. It's not as simple as that. So it's just important to note that. I'd say.
No, I think that's true. That's true. Let's bring on the next caller. I better go to the toilet then.
Oh, is he gone? No, he's still there. Let's get him on.
Jory, how's it going, man?
You gotta hold it for a bit.
I'm holding just for you, Jory.
Yeah, just like our transfer policy, right? Just
exactly. Keep holding on, waiting.
Just wait for that perfect moment, Jory. That's all we're waiting for. We're waiting for that perfect moment.
Yes, exactly. Where there'll be a golden finale from Ben.
Exactly.
Yes, for
Yeah,
sure.
Jory, if I put it this way, Jory, like Adama Traore cost 20 million at the 1st of January. It's now the 24th of January. He still costs 20 million, and we're about to get the deal done just now, taking 24 days. How do we expect to get any more deals done in the next week?
Yeah, exactly. This is, I mean, this is, you know, I've heard a lot of people being concerned about the negativity and stuff like that. We just, I mean, it's not almost like Conte is saying in his interviews now as well. It's like certain things are down to mentality and attitude and so on. But at some point, you come up against hard facts. And yesterday we came up against the hard fact once again that our squad is nowhere close to a top 4 squad, and to pretend that our attitudes toward ENIC or Levy or whatever has any effect on that's not how it works, you know. And I think like you said there, like I actually sent in a super chat yesterday where I pointed out, like, if we had real ambition in terms of a transfer this window, we would have gotten Adama in right away. He would have been playing yesterday, and but instead yesterday we didn't have any of our creative midfielders because we're leaving it too late, because Levy is doing his ridiculous brinkmanship, which he thinks is the way to go, you know, and it always goes the same way, which is it ends up being more expensive for us and not working out, not being what we need, you know. So I think the idea that there's anything to be gained by playing along with Levy or ENIC in these matters is completely false. You know, we need to have constant pressure on them, and I'm at the point now. I truly believe we can never really win anything with Levy as a chairman, even with Conte as a coach. You know, so I think Levy is too much of a fiddler. He'll never give up the reins to Paratici, as I hoped he would when Paratici came in. So it's a terrible thing to see. I mean, for me, it wasn't a question like yesterday which team was better. I think for most people that follow football, that was never really a question. The question was maybe, will we have a moment a chance? Will we have, some kind of way that we could play on their weaknesses at this point in time or whatever, and turned out that Chelsea turned up for it and they were very disciplined, and I really can't blame our squad. I think they were disciplined as well. We just don't have the same quality, and I think some people have been talking about Conte getting it wrong yesterday. I actually don't think so. I think, it was pretty defensive. The thing about Chelsea, I've seen it. We saw it with Nuno in the first Chelsea game. That if you get a tactical upper hand, which we did in the first game with Nuno, and I also think we weren't tactically, we were at least as good, probably a little bit better in the first half. But if you don't get it done in that first half, if you don't get that goal in, Tuchel will fix it in the break. You won't get the second half to do that. So
yeah, it's happened a couple of times.
That's why
now,
that goal before the break was so important, wasn't it, Jory?
Exactly, it's crucial with Chelsea. It's almost kind of, we know this, like with Man City. That's kind of how we've been able to deal with Man City, is kind of to shock them, quickly, and if you do that, then you have a chance for it. But in general, I just think and I think maybe Conte is making some points and a bit of a stance in terms of our squad quality and all of that. But that's what's needed as well, and I kind of fear that even if we get, like, what was the newest rumor, guys? You said like maybe 3 in plus Adama?
Yeah, well, there was a rumor going around that Conte is putting Levy under huge pressure to get 3 signings plus Adama this week. That's what he's saying. There's also a rumor saying that we're desperate to offload the Celso, Dele, and Ndombele, and it's undecided whether we want another creative midfielder to replace them.
Yeah, I mean, I can see Conte being desperate maybe to offload them, but never without getting other creative midfielders in, so but I mean, this rumor that you're saying there is maybe, you could hope that, even though I absolutely have no faith in the actual rumor, maybe it's a sign of the pressure being put on from Conte towards the board, and let's hope so. But I think, like, I often refer just to my own business, and if I'm, for example, bidding a job and I'm dealing with a producer that's showing signs like Levy is showing in terms of football dealings, and I still end up getting my price, what I wanted, I'm actually, sometimes when I see that the producer really doesn't know what they're doing, they don't understand what the actual price is, how these things are done, and so on. I'm actually sometimes in a place where I might up the price or up the amount of days that I bid on it, simply because I'm not that interested in working with those people, and this is what I keep. Like, if we take now, like, the whole thing has been blocked because we need to get players out. Okay, why are we not getting them out? Because of the absolutely shit deals that Levy has done in the past. That's why we're not getting them out, because Ndombele is on too high wages, because we've signed these players for too high transfer fees and so on. So it is a little bit of a shit show each way you turn it. And for me, the unfortunate thing is that when Levy signed Conte in this afternoon, I had a glimmer of hope he would step aside, and this was actually a real statement of ambition from the club. But since then, since this window started, I feel it's confirmed that it was about saving his neck when he was under the most pressure, basically. That's why he signed him, and he's the same Levy we've known always. So it's very unfortunate in terms of the various players and stuff like that were rumored with. I feel like also us as fans, we gotta really think about where we're at. We'll keep talking about ourselves as a top 4 club or top 6 club, but we're almost kind of embarrassed or scared of talking about a Dybala deal in any real way. Like Dybala to Chelsea, Dybala to Liverpool, Man City. That's almost a average kind of deal for those clubs. Whereas for us, it's like beyond our wildest dreams that could ever go through. So I think at some point we either gotta start being the real deal, or we gotta settle in to the mid-table, at best mid-table kind of reality that we've created for ourselves. Potts was the blessing that's put us into this post-Potts curse, really, which is nobody can do what he did for that shoestring budget that he had to work with. So yeah, I mean, I think like if we're trying to get these 3 guys out because we're signing 2 strong midfielders, then fine. In terms of the top 4, I think we're still in the conversation, but I don't think we're in any conversation unless Levy lets Conte and Paratici do the stuff that they're brought in to do normally. I think Conte, I think even if I think Conte could be in a place, like I said, even if you get your price, even if Conte gets his men, he might have seen enough from the sport that he's already like, this is not people that are gonna do anything. These are not people that I can rely on to bring this project to fruition. So I don't know. You guys have a much better feeling also for the fan base. Like the way I felt with the call in yesterday and stuff, I felt like unbelievably still people were clinging on to the idea that it didn't have anything to do with Levy. How was it? You were at the game. Was there any kind of a conversation like that at the game?
Well, it's interesting because on Wednesday night there was quite a lot of Levy out chants when we were losing, but yesterday I didn't hear any Levy out chants. So I think maybe, I don't know, the win on midweek maybe staved them off for a weekend, but I do think.
So what was the general conversation just when you were talking, with the guy next to you and stuff like that? Did this come up as a factor, or?
I think it always comes. I think it always comes down to it, doesn't it? I think it always comes up, and I think you could see the starting lineup yesterday. It's not down to the players. It's not down to the manager. It's down to one man, and the hierarchy, and ultimately that they're the ones that have put us in this situation, and I don't think anyone else can argue against that.
Exactly, and actually we have to clap for our squad, because they've stepped up. They've improved quite immensely, some of them. And they're just, and they like what we have now. What we're seeing now is we're seeing tactical sense, really. We're seeing discipline in terms of on the field discipline, and we're seeing individual improvement across the board, and we're seeing a fighting spirit. And like that, for me, is such a, like I follow so many teams that kind of the best kind of, what the most they can offer is the fighting spirit. Like almost all the Icelandic teams that have any success are like, it's not their individual talent so much, it's more like the team spirit and the fighting spirit, and we have that now in our squad, and we have to applaud our squad and Conte, of course, for getting that. And now we're maxed out. Now we need the actual individual talent. Now we need a tier up in level of players. Our first choice players, most of them are satisfactory as squad players in a top 4 team. We don't have, apart from our attack, in my view, a first choice top 4 level players. We have the attacking part is all right. I think like Son, Kane, Lucas. Hugo Lloris. I've mentioned these guys. Who are in that tier. But the rest is at best a squad player in a top 4 team, and then our a backup to those players. In my view, closer to being championship players than they're being and then Premier League players, let alone a top Premier League squad, So like Conte says, there's a lot of work to be done, and my fear is if this is how we're using the first transfer window, how are we ever gonna get there? We're gonna burn up Conte's patience before we're ever gonna get there. We need to revamp what. What's your count? I think it's close to 12 players at least. I don't know. 10 players.
What,
even
for the
if
total
it's 10,
rebuild you're talking about?
Yeah. If for being a competitive team with these, we're talking about Conte. He's here to win some silverware. How many players do we need before we're doing that? It's never less than 10 in my view.
Yeah, you're probably right there. But in terms of this transfer window, before we let you go, Jory, what's your prediction? How many in, how many out?
It's difficult to predict. I want to be hopeful. I want to believe that Conte is going to have the upper hand with Levy. And if that's the case, then I'm thinking 3, including Adama. Otherwise, I'm thinking a little bit of a shit show, and it's going to be 2 because Levy will scramble and get somebody that we don't need and nobody asked for, and
like Amrabat.
just to exactly, something like that. So I think in terms of numbers, it won't maybe make that big of a difference, but in terms of quality, there might be a big difference. I think like if it's true, the rumors about getting Kessie in now and stuff like that, then I did not believe in for 1 second that we were ever getting Conte, and we did get Conte. So there's a possibility, and I'm hoping that Conte is that man that can actually corner Levy and get it done. But we need what I think is important here is whether it's 1 or 3. It needs to be a player that we need, that Conte wants, and that is of the quality that's up to these clubs. Somebody that Chelsea might as well sign. Not somebody that Watford would sign. That's kind of where we always kind of end up late in the windows. So yeah, that's my prediction. I don't
even think Watford would sign Jedson Fernandez, to be honest.
Well, yeah. Well, then that's that. It's not about money. It's about Levy putting his nose in business that he has got no clue of handling. Because money-wise, we can. And Dembele is the best proof of how badly we've spent big sums of money. So and like we all know, we can of course understand it from the point of view of all that potential, the way he played with his former club and so on. But still, the other clubs, the other big clubs, they investigated and decided to stay away. Why was that? And why does Levy not see these things? Because he doesn't know what he's doing, So that's kind of the huge problem. But I would definitely say also the positive here, if anything, is that yet again, there's 2 positive I take from yesterday, just to try and end on a positive note. One is Kane was very good yesterday. I think he was even better than in the Leicester game.
Wow. That's high praise.
And I mean, and also Bergwijn was quite good as well. But in general, the squad kept fighting to the end, and I think that's something at least that's a new improvement in our squad. So.
And Jory, if you have that fight in your squad, you've always got a chance, don't you?
Exactly, but the thing is, you always got a chance in individual games, yes, but you don't have a chance over a whole season. You don't have a chance over a whole tournament and stuff like that. This I know so well as a Icelander and growing up in Denmark and supporting a lot of small teams. It's like when it comes to going the distance, it's not gonna work out. Like we can beat an England one-off, in the quarters, at the Euros, but and it's a miracle,
Had to bring that one up.
It's the greatest thing ever, yeah. But we're never going through France and then through Portugal or whatever who's coming next. That you need the.
Oh, is he gone?
Is he gone?
What's happened to Jory?
Yeah, I think he's gone. All right. Well.
All right. Well, I think unless he reconnects in the next few seconds, I think that's probably going to be it. But Jory, a really good call. Thank you so much for coming on today. Really good points made. But I do want to caveat his point about Iceland being that Greece did win the Euros on that mentality alone. So, it is possible. It is possible. I'm not saying we're going to win the league. I'm not saying that, but I'm saying that it is a possibility with the position that we're in right now that we can get top 4 with only Adama coming in. I do believe that.
If we get
but
lucky.
Will we? Yeah, we have to get lucky, obviously. But it's not a foregone conclusion.
No, it's not.
Because we've put ourselves in a good position, let's be honest.
Definitely in the league, as I've said, with games in hand, with the points total we have, with a 9-game unbeaten run, we definitely have put ourselves in a good position. If all we have to do is cement it with a couple of strong additions to make sure that we get over the line.
Yeah,
if we can do that, then we'll be okay. But I just worry we're going to weaken our squad. They're not strengthening it enough.
Yeah. All right, well, that brings an end to the stream today. 7 days to go left of the transfer window. We'll be bringing you Good Morning Tottenhams every single morning this week. And hopefully, well, I know there's going to be action-packed with rumours, but who knows if it's going to be action-packed with action. So we'll see what happens for the remainder of the week. We'll be back today with player ratings, 5 takeaways, Tottenham update, and a Premier League perspective as well. So an action-packed day here at We Are Tottenham TV as well. So we'll see you all very soon. Like, subscribe, and comment. And as always, come on, you Spurs.